Yes. What's happening, everybody? It's your Uncle Weezy here. It's 10 o'clock Central Time. It's Tuesday night. Dana White's Contender Series is over. I did not watch it, so please, no spoilers in the chat, as my man Daz Files said in there. But you know what that means, right? It means it's time for Just the Tip with me, your host, Uncle Weezy, where we are going to break down all 11 fights on this upcoming Saturday's UFC Noche card, which is going to be headlined by Alexa Grasso defending her title that she just won. And this is the rematch against Valentina Bullet Shevchenko. Going to be a great fight. Very well matched ladies in this main event here. So I'm definitely looking forward to breaking that one down. Very good main card. Very interesting prelim card on this particular event here. It's going to be taking place in Vegas though, and it's not going to be in Mexico, but it is, you know, a card where it's going to feel like the Mexican fans are there supporting their fighters. We've got a ton of Mexican fighters on this card, so it's going to be a really fun one. The Mexican fighters always bring the fire. They always bring wars. They're very durable, got a ton of heart, and it's always fun to watch them. And this is going to be no exception here on Saturday. Coming off a pretty good week last week, we had a winning night. We were up on tracked bets. We were up 2.31 units. We lost both of the money line bets that we had. 0.5 units on the Landon Quinones money line at plus 350 was a bust. And then 1 unit on the John Makdessi money line at plus 221. Great bet. Probably should have been about 55-60% to win that fight, but Jamie Malarkey in front of the home crowd in Australia gets the judge's robbery there. We lost a quarter unit on Manel Kopp by submission, and we lost a quarter unit on Anton, the pleasure man Turkali, to win in round 3. So we had 2 total units of losing bets. I had a 1.1 unit bet on Israel Adesanya, Sean Strickland to go over 4.5 rounds. That cashed for a unit. I had a 2-leg parlay with Manel Kopp's money line, parlayed with Carlos Ulberg's money line. That paid off 1.56 units. And I had a quarter unit on Gabriel Miranda to win by submission in round 1 at plus 700. That cashed out for 1.75 units. Not a bad day at the office, up 2.31 units. If Makdessi hadn't gotten robbed, we would have been up over 5.5 units. But good read on the underdog call. I actually talked to my guy Brady, DFS by the numbers, about the Makdessi fight before it happened. And he said, and I quote, "I'd join you on the Makdessi money line if I didn't think that the judges were going to rob him with a hometown decision." So not only did he see the fight the same way as me, but he went one step further and called the fact that if Makdessi did win the fight, that the judges weren't going to give it to him. So big ups to Brady for being smart enough to stay away from that bet, while I just got caught saying, good bet, but it didn't cash. It goes down as a loss. But anyway, up 2.31 units. Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, Justin Tafa, gets the job done in round number 1 by knockout. We're white hot on the ass shaving of the week over the last 3 weeks here. The Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs are barking pick. Bootsy, I'm sorry, brother. I haven't been getting it done for you. It was plus 350. It was John Makdessi to win by decision. We were so close this time, Bootsy, but we're going to get it this time. I got another fat number for you guys. I'm pretty confident in the pick. It'll be a big plus money number, so it doesn't necessarily hurt as much when we lose. And then the prize picks play that I gave out on the Patreon. Shane Young under 91.5 fantasy points. Israel Adesanya below 109.5 fantasy points. And then Dak Prescott over 0.5 yards passing. 1 unit turns into 5 units. Big win there for your Uncle Weezy on prize picks. And then the greasy 4-leg parlay was Justin Tafa's money line, It was Manel Kopp's money line. We had the fight goes to decision for Hack Parast and Quinones. And I forget what the fourth leg was, but plus 636, half unit, cashes. Give me another 3.2 units, 3.2 units on the greasy four-leg parlay, 5 units on prize picks, 2.3 units up tracked on the night. So just a massive night. Been on a little bit of a losing streak, really kind of turned it around last week, was very close to having even more units if the Makdessi decision had went my way, but really looking forward to keeping that train rolling this week, you guys. 11 fights to choose from here to bet on, a lot of lines that are absolutely juiced to the tits this week. So we're going to have to navigate it. We're going to have to be very careful about where we lay juice. And then we're going to have to not be afraid to look like an asshole and take a couple of these underdogs where the lines have just simply been pushed too far by casual bettors who are parlaying 6 lines to get minus 106 this week. So let's do it. Let's put in the work. Let's figure out how to stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC Noche this Saturday. Let's see what's going on with you guys in the chat here. We got my guy Sal D'Amato's scorecard in the room saying the winner of Grasso Valentina gets smoked by Blanchfield anyway. But what if it's Shevchenko who wins and then they do the trilogy and then Blanchfield just has to sit on the sidelines again? Maybe go 5 rounds with Taylor Santos to find out who gets the next shot, because that was a close fight. Very interesting, but yeah, Aaron Blanchfield, it seems to be the heir apparent, and will be probably getting a title shot very soon here in that women's flyweight division. We got my guy Lou Betya in the room saying, Weezy, I typed "oi" in Google Translate to get into the Noche spirit. It translates as "oi." Yeah, dude, I already knew that. My Spanish is already pretty good, so I'm definitely ready for UFC Noche. And I know that my guy Lou Betya's got a luchador mask and a giant sombrero, and he's going to be getting probably a little bit lit on Saturday watching these fights. And I said yes to that because I love that. J-Bone is in the room saying, oi, oi, oi. What's up, J-Bone? Good to see you hanging out in here. My guy Daz Files letting you all know no one mentioned Dana White's Contender Series results from tonight because Weezy probably hasn't had a chance to watch it. Great fights. I'm really looking forward to watching those fights. And after we're done working here tonight, figuring out ways to stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC Noche, I'm going to be putting timestamps on this video for you guys that watch it on the replay. And then we are going to watch Dana White Contender Series tonight while I pass out on the couch at like 3 a.m. I'm going to love it. It's going to be awesome. My guy Justin Villegas in the room. Viva la Mexico. Usese ese. Oh, yeah, Essay. Yeah, Essay. What's up, Essay? Good to see you, eh? We got Prince of Mischief 2225 in the room saying, what up, Weezy? I went back and listened to your Pub Sports Radio breakdown of Izzy versus Strickland, and man, did I have a good laugh. Sean Strickland actually did something smart. Go figure. Hashtag and new. Dude, I just didn't see it coming. I just didn't see it coming, because Sean is so aggressive. He walks forward, and he's so high volume that I just thought, if he did those 3 things, that he would just be walking onto a counter shot from Izzy. And what he did was he walked forward like a zombie, but he was very light on the lead leg, so he wasn't leaving that as an open target for Israel Adesanya. And then he wasn't really going first. He was staying in Izzy's face, keeping Izzy on his back foot, but making Izzy be the one leading the dance, which he's not comfortable doing. That's why Izzy is so low volume, because he's such an effective counter striker. And because of that game plan, because of that brilliant game plan that Eric Nixick came up with for Sean Strickland, he went out there and he won. I thought he won all 5 rounds when I was watching. We were watching with the sound off, so I didn't know it was 49-46, but I went on Twitter and I'm like, man, he won all 5 rounds. I thought he won at 50-45. But what a performance by Sean Strickland. And I don't think this dude can wrestle at all anymore. I think after the motorcycle accident, he's just in a place where wrestling, a grown man, a middleweight, top 5 middleweight in the UFC is just not something that his leg is cut out to do anymore. So he figured out a way to do it with his striking, and it was absolutely brilliant. My guy Victor De Jesus is in the room. What's up, Vic? Good to see you in here saying, Oi, sí, ¿qué pasa, tío Weezy in chat? Estoy listo para noche UFC. Yeah, he is ready for this fight night, and I am ready for it too. Estoy listo. Estoy sorprendiendo con Grasso being champion. I mean, this is going to be a really fun fight here. I mean, this is going to be a really fun card from top to bottom. There's some really interesting prospects on this card. I'm looking forward to breaking them down with you guys. We got Subhuman Gaucho in the room saying, "Oi, what's up, man?" Daniel Covert is not first. He is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th. But thank you for hanging out, Daniel, saying, "Why you late, Weezy?" Daniel, let me tell you something, brother. I'm never late. I am never late. This is my show. So it starts when I say it starts. So your Uncle Weezy is always on time, baby. What's up, dude? Good to see you hanging out in here. Prince of Mischief saying, in your opinion, based on your experience in the Chicago Stock Exchange, what is the similarity between that and MMA gambling, and what is the difference? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Well, it's an interesting question. It's a loaded question, and it's probably a very long answer. But in short, it's all gambling, right? And the MMA gambling is a lot like trading the options markets. While equity markets, there's a big difference between equity markets and gambling, because equity markets, the time frame of the investment is open-ended. It could be 1 day, it could be 1 hour, it could be one year, it could be 10 years. So whether you win or lose depends on how much patience you have and how long you wait, and when you buy and when you sell. But with MMA betting, it's really one option trade. The option, the expiration of the option is the end of the fight, and you either cashed your position or you didn't. So, but there's a lot of corruption, and the governing bodies are the source of that corruption. If you're familiar with the term old boys club, an old boys club is a money-making operation where you have old money running it. They don't necessarily have to work for the money that they earn, and they won't let anybody in the club. You don't get in the club until you realize that you're working for the club, and that the club puts the members of the club over everybody else that isn't a member. So whether you're on the Nevada, gaming commission, or you're like Sal D'Amato or Chris Lee or any of these judges who can't judge fights for shit, but get invited back every single week to do a shit job. The rest of us that have to work for a living, performance actually does matter for us. We can't just show up and do a bad job and expect that there's going to be no consequences for it. While people who run the markets, people who run the commissions, they get away with absolute murder in broad daylight. So it's just I guess the biggest difference would be the corruption that's at the core of it. But other than that, it's really more about the nature of the investment. And working on an equities exchange like I used to, it's a little bit different than working on an options exchange, which was right next to the stock exchange. The Chicago Board of Options is in the same building there at One Financial Place. And I would say that MMA betting is a lot like option trading. And Daniel Covert saying stocks are for losers. MMA betting is for savages. Simple. Dumb question, he says. Daniel's always in here enlightening us. Rem Dog in the room saying, oi. And we got Daniel Covert in the room saying, oi. And we got Jenna Marie in the house saying, oi, Uncle Weezy. What's up, Jenna Marie? Good to see you hanging out in here. Yes, Freak in the room saying Scottsdale, Arizona is watching Weezy. Let's go. I'm saying hello to Scottsdale, Arizona, down there in the desert. Good people in Arizona there. Jay Breezy in the room saying, oi. And we got Daniel Covert again saying, oi. We got Alex Ramirez, the general, in here taking notes. Daniel Covert says, I was first in chat again, Weezy. There you go, man. J-Bone saying, unfortunately, you were not. Daniel saying, Vegas is half Mexican anyway. The fuck is track bets? Tracked bets. That's where we take our bets and when we make them, we put them on a tracking website so that people know that we're being transparent about what we're betting and how much we're making. Noah Allen saying WWE and UFC fans unite, and your CEO is Dana White. We've got Cuban Assassin saying Weezy, can't wait for Noche to Winslow, Mermaids, Clowns, and Misha Tate. It's going to be a great night, Cuban Assassin. I'm looking forward to it, man. Remdog saying MacDessie robbed. Yeah, man. It was a hometown decision. And that's the thing, too. It's like if the fight's even somewhat close and the crowd is cheering every time Malarkey throws a shitty punch that gets blocked, and then it's just silence whenever MacDessie's landing, it gets in the head of the judges, too. So, those things, that's part of the thing that we're up against when we're gambling on MMA. Can I track my bets there? Yeah, of course you could track your bets. BetMMA.tips. And you can find my bets right here at BetMMA tips / Uncle Weezy. But that is the website, my man. All right. Noah Allen is in the room saying old midget MacDessie robbed big time. He's not a midget. He's actually like 5'7", 5'8" on a good day. But yeah, he's very small for the division. And yeah, I feel like he was robbed big time. Malarkey's terrible, man. That guy and the people who lay -500 on Malarkey, -280 on Malarkey, those are bad betting decisions. Stop it. This guy should never be -250 over anybody in this promotion. Dan, bet MMA tips. Yes, sir. True Remdog says Daniel Covert. Remdog, Weezy, can you share a good site where I can find tape on some of these debutantes and regional fights? Yeah, absolutely. So we've got MMAplay365.com. The tape index is one place that you can go. And then I got a guy in my Discord named Ashton who has his own, he's got his own site that also does a tape index, and he uses my stats on the site. Let me look here. He's got this really nice interface here. And let me get the link to that. FightHub.club. FightHub.club is another place where you can go and get what they're going to do is they're going to provide all the links for the fighters that are fighting in a week, in 2 weeks, so that you can research and watch all of their tape from one place. So like, here's my tape index, and you can go to this is Kevin Holland's. Oh shit, I'm not even sharing my screen with you guys. This is MMAplay.365, and this is Fight Club or FightHub.club. So these are two places where you can go, and just all the Kevin Holland fight links are right here. All the Jack Della Maddalena fight links are here. And you want to see like Josefine Knutsson because she's new to the UFC. They're going to have all, everything that's available there for you. So MMAplay365.com, great place that has a tape index. And then, like I said, my guy Ashton, also at FightHub.club, is a great place to go as well. All right. And then Daniel's saying, I'm one of the best cappers out here. Dude, I'm sure we're all like 100% on our picks. I'm personally up 714 units this year. 714% return on investment. So not only am I up 714 units, I actually had the audacity to have the exact same return on investment. DM for premium packages, you guys. Justin Villegas saying Mexican parlay, Loopy, Cortez, Zellhuber, Padilla, and the Reyes take the points, 9.5. There we go, Justin. Noah Allen saying Cortez parlay don't. It's a close line, but Cortez is winning. She's not even Mexican, brother. Actually, she is. She's of Mexican descent. She was born in the United States, though. She ain't Mexican, true? She's not Mexican? I think she's Mexican, you guys. I think she's of Mexican descent. Jenna Marie, what's up, girl? Good to see you. And then Viegas saying add Kopylov. And then Daniel saying Holland more Mexican than Cortez. Okay. Jenna Marie loves it. Bananas and Grapes saying, oi, what's up, dude? Justin Viegas saying not Mexican too. Bro, obviously I've never seen blood in, blood out. I may not be brown in the outside, but I'm brown on the inside. Simone ese. We got Bananas and Grapes sending good vibes. We got Daniel saying Charlie, Justin. We got Greenbat saying in the beginning there was Sean, and Sean had something to prove. And new is the biggest men's upset in UFC history. Oh, man. Biggest men's upset in UFC. We'd have to ask like one of the true UFC historians. But I mean, like going back from when I've started capping fights, man, I don't remember, a minus 800 men's favorite dropping the ball. Patos Locos Forever Home says, run dog. We got Daniel Colbert saying Sarah GSP biggest upsets. So that was a wild one. That was definitely a wild one. LPX saying winning money greater than winning bets. Juice is for losers. Oh, yeah. I mean, I agree completely. Juice is horrible. I hate laying juice. And I think, having that understanding of implied probability and the amount of margin for error it gives you when you're betting the underdog side over the long run, it really does help out. Not kidding, much love. Let's go. Hyena, oi, middleweight title is in good hands. I couldn't agree more, Hyena. I'm so happy Sean Strickland's champion. USA SA sounds like it could replace the A. Yeah, it probably could, man. Dana White Contender Series just finished. All the Tapology favorites won. USA, we got Noah saying, bro, it's not game plan. Izzy was never that good. We got my guy Swinger is in the room saying, Weezy, thanks for the greasy four-legger this week. Stacking cash like flapjack, son. Yes, sir. Plus 636. We had to love that one, man. We got Noah saying, people compared him to Anderson Silva. Good, the sport is growing, but casuals. Yeah, I mean, well, Anderson Silva is the greatest. Swinger saying, Weezy, gives us a quick take on the NFL Week 1. Yeah, very low scoring, very sloppy. And then Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles tendon. He's out for the year. That's a horrible injury. Yeah, very messy. I hope it gets a little more offensive and things get a little bit cleaner in Week 2. Daniel saying he's half Mexican. And he was first. You're always on time, baby. Yes, I am. Nigel Lee in the room saying, oi, what's up, Weezy in chat? Haven't caught a live in a bit. At least you aren't forcing people to become members to participate in live chats. So corny. Yeah, I would never do that to you guys. That's part of the great thing about this show, is that, the chat, we get to interact with each other while we're talking fights together here. I mean, obviously, I'm the one with the microphone. I'm the one with all the notes and the stats, but we're talking together. After I break down a fight, I always go to the chat to see what you guys think. And so it's really important that everybody that watches the show live is able to chat in here. So I appreciate all you guys. Hey, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe if you haven't already. All that shit's free, man. And you can leave me a comment down below, even if it's just to yell oi at me. I love it when I see those comments down there. You got any questions? Let me know what your best bet of the week is. Leave a comment down below. Daniel saying, welcome to Nigel. We got Nigel saying, what's up, Daniel? Daniel saying, I'm always enlightening y'all. Joey Kozlowski in the room saying, Peoria, Arizona in the house. Stand up. Love Uncle Weezy. What's up, Joey? Thanks for hanging out, brother. Houston, Texas for Daniel Covert. Justin saying, Jenna, my second fave. Jenna Jameson before Tito ruined her. I don't know if Tito was the one that ruined her, man. That was a Chinese motorcycle that was falling apart from a very young age, actually. We got Justin saying, oi, howdy, Uncle Weezy in chat. We got Daniel Covert saying, what's up to Justin? LPX saying, what's up to Justin? Prince of Mischief saying, fight odds also has a tape index. Links directly to Fight Pass. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. Because that's cool. I've got fight odds. I always got that up on my computer. Fight Hub has great videos. Nice. Justin saying, token Justin, get out. One Justin for chats. And we got Justin Battle, Remdog saying sick. Matt Campbell saying oi. We got Daniel saying Weezy killing it. M.A. Learin, thanks for your work, Unc. That driest sarcasm roasting humor. You got it, dude. I am kind of sarcastic sometimes. Prince of Mischief saying Cortez's wiki says Mexican, plus she's always on the Hispanic Heritage Month videos. Yeah, I think she was born here, but I think she's of Mexican descent. Just like I was born here, but I'm of Greek descent and Danish descent. We got H. Hui saying upset is probably Weidman versus Anderson. Yeah, I don't know if that was not that big of an upset, dude. Chris Weidman was undefeated going into that fight. He had a ton of hype behind him, and people knew that he could probably wrestle Anderson Silva, not unlike Chael Sonnen had a couple of times before. So, I mean, it certainly wasn't Anderson Silva minus 800. I can promise you that. MA saying, Unc, would you mind giving a detailed explanation of your opinion on why play more singles or parlays? I think it's always best to play the singles. Parlays are something that I try to save when I find a plus EV bet that is more than I want to put down. Like I've got a parlay that I'll tell you guys about later on today, and we're already 27 minutes in here. But when you parlay things, you have to make sure that whatever you're going to put in a parlay has to meet the same betting criteria that you would use to bet something straight. That's the most important thing of all, because people start parlaying together wide lines to bring lines down. But if those lines are overpriced, then you're going to lose money on parlays over the long run. Yeah, says Cortez is Mexican descent. James Hardlib saying Kevin Holland sub. I don't know what the line is, but I do feel like Kevin's going to hurt him, not sleep him, but will wrap up the neck. Dude, I think if Kevin finishes Jack, it's going to be by submission. After UFC 293 and having Izzy in multiple parlays, I'm going to lower the amount of parlays and play more money lines. I put a shit ton of money on Strickland live to get out of the hole. Never again. Yeah, man, that's rough. But that's what parlays are, man. You know, you have to hit all the legs, otherwise you lose. Holland sub is a great bet. Derek Carr threw the ball beautiful in the fourth quarter for the Saints. Saints versus Raiders Super Bowl. Gene saying, oi, Weezy, glad I can make this live show. I'll be good and ready for bed, so I'll be listening in my dreams. There you go, Gene. Daniel saying, best bet, Holland money line, Kopylov money line parlay. We got, hey, Tito, tell another Jackal story. Holland's going to lose. Sorry to burst your bubble, says Nigel. JDM is not washed, you guys. He's in his 20s. Prince of Mischief saying, yes, decent. Cortez via 10-pound makeup. Nigel saying you're looking at recency bias. Nah, Holland is better ground and clinch game. Striking is even. Gabriel Gonzaga to kick Miracle Crow Cop upset in the way that it happened with this winning method. That was wild. I remember that because Gabriel Gonzaga was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and they're like, he's going to have to take down Crow Cop in order to beat him, and he knocks him out with a head kick, which was Crow Cop's signature move. Also, Hollywood 8-inch reach advantage. Yes, for our guy there. Anyway, you guys, he goes to a decision now. He's washed. I literally don't want to throw out the C word, but a statement like that might deserve it. Amen. Parlaying magnifies how winning or losing your bets are. The individual legs all still need to be profitable. Yes, sir. And that's a great explanation. Gracias, Tio. Guisi? I don't know what Guizi means. Weezy. Yeah, I guess that. Yeah. Weezy. It was a nightmare. I have to be more careful. Yes. Casual is what he's saying. JDM is definitely washed. Wanderlei Silva making his UFC debut upset. The way they advertise him in MMA magazine. Casual. Grasso versus Valentina could end up like Leon versus Usman. Grasso's win wasn't a fluke. And Nigel Lee says he has already a half an hour in. Let's get to work, you guys. We've got 11 fights to break down, and we are going to start with the first fight of the night. And remember, you can find all these stats on my Patreon. It's on the address is right there underneath. I mean, where else are you going to get these great stats like Josefine Knutsson, 0 significant strikes landed, 0 attempted, and a divided by 0 error. And then we got another divided by 0 error, divided by 0 error. You're not going to find these stats anywhere else, folks, except for right down there, patreon.com/Uncle Weezy. In all seriousness, you know, when we have 2 fighters who are actually fighting, we have all the stats. And I've got all the metrics that you need to do your own research to make better betting decisions. Nobody has this in-depth of a stats package for such a low price anywhere on the internet. This is the best way to support my work. If you like watching my shows here, the best way to support my work and make sure that I keep showing up here on YouTube is to join that Patreon. $10 a month for this advanced stats package that has the side-by-side stats and the complete UFC stats for every single fighter on every card. So please consider joining the Patreon. Best way to support me and my work. But let's start talking about the curtain jerker here, everybody. Josefine Thunder Knutsson going up against Marnic Mann here. And the line on this, you could say it's juice to the tits, ladies and gentlemen. Knutsson is a -700 favorite. Marnic Mann plus 500 is the underdog. Fight doesn't go to decision. Plus money here at plus 125. Let's first start talking about Josefine Thunder Knutsson. She is 3 years younger and 3 inches taller than Marnic Mann. She's the more experienced professional with over 10 more minutes in the pro cage, and that is in 2 less years as a professional. So Josefine has also been the busier fighter as a professional. She's got a high-level striking background. She's a 3-time Swedish Muay Thai champion, and I know. So is Bea Malecki, so who gives a shit, right? But keep listening, please, all right? She also won the bronze medal in the 2017 and the gold medal in the 2018 IFMA World Muay Thai Championships, and Josefine was the 2019 K1 Flyweight World Grand Prix runner-up. Josefine manages range well. She's got a nasty lead leg head kick that looks a lot like the one Rose Namajunas KO'd Wei Lee with. Josefine has power in her hands, especially the right one, and she is nasty with elbows in the clinch. She is so technical, so clean, and she flashes some power. I see this young lady having a lot of success in the strawweight division, and she's very strong in the clinch, you guys. When her opponents try to take her down from the clinch, it's usually Josefine who winds up on top. We don't have any official UFC stats on her yet, but in her Dana White Contender Series and Road to UFC fights, Knutsson got over 42% control time on 5 of 7 takedown attempts. So she's certainly capable of mixing in the wrestling to win minutes if she doesn't like how the striking exchanges are going. But that's very unlikely that Josefine is going to be losing minutes at this level against anybody in this division. Now, Marnic Mann is 3 inches shorter than Josefine, but she's actually going to have a 4-inch reach advantage here. And Marnic has been the better finisher as a professional. She's finished 4 of her 6 pro wins inside the distance. She's got 1 submission, and she's got 3 knockouts, while Josefine only has 1 knockout finish in 6 pro wins. And Marnic flashes some power on the feet. She stands very square to her opponents, presenting too many targets. However, she does throw with power and purpose, and she can catch you in the pocket if you aren't careful. Marnic also has solid calf kicks, and she does her best work when she can get takedowns and get on top of her opponents and bully them from there. She's got solid BJJ. She's got a cheeky triangle finish in the late 3rd round of the Macias fight, and Pauline Macias is a judo black belt, so getting that triangle late in that fight when she was clearly pretty gassed was actually a pretty good look there. We haven't seen much of Knutsson off her back in her pro footage, so one potential path to victory for Marnic is to get a couple of takedowns and some control time while landing ground and pound and hunting for submissions. But Knutsson has shown some very good takedown defense on her regional tape. Excuse me. So both of these ladies were taking this fight on short notice. Knutsson stepped in on short notice to fight Jasmine Lucindo, but Lucindo got injured, so now Mann steps in on short notice to fight Knutsson. Josefine is a very hyped prospect, and if you watch her tape, you know why. Her striking is clean and powerful. She's defensively responsible. She's really good in the clinch. She shows great fight IQ, not only in her grappling defense, stopping the takedown attempts of her opponents, but also when it's time to mix in her own wrestling to win minutes. Her conditioning is top-notch. She looks to be extremely confident in her skill set. Marnic is definitely undersized for the division, but she's a scrapper and she pressures and she does a good job closing the distance and looks good when she's able to get to top position with her BJJ. But I hate how square she stands on the feet, and I doubt she's able to get Josefine to the ground. If Josefine is the fighter who is able to if Josefine is the fighter who's able to determine whether this fight takes place on the feet, the clinch, or the ground, I think she runs a clinic here on Marnic, man. I believe Knutsson has the MMA skill set to be top 10 in this division, and she gets the chance to take that first step up the ladder here on Saturday against Marnic, man. I'm going to pick Josefine Knutsson to win this one by decision. I am sharing my screen. Very good. So Josefine Thunder Knutsson, you guys, is a very, very hyped prospect. On the road to UFC, she was minus 1,300 in that fight. The secret's out. This young lady is everybody that trains with her over there at All Stars is absolutely raving about her work ethic, about how strong she is, about how clean her striking is. And I think Dana, I wanted to bring this up because this was ridiculous to me. You know, just a couple of weeks ago, Josefine fought on Dana White's Contender Series. She absolutely destroyed Isis Verbeek, won every minute of that fight, got close to finishing Isis in every single round of that fight, showed a completely well-rounded skill set. She dominated at distance. She dominated in the clinch. She dominated all the grappling exchanges. She looked confident, clean. The conditioning was excellent. And then Dana, you know, he says, I didn't see it. I just didn't see it from Josefine. I didn't see it, which is so weird because, like, Dana says that I don't watch tape on these guys. They're just supposed to come here and perform. And if they impress me on Tuesday, then they're going to get a contract, which is so fucking stupid. It's clear that he's just lazy and doesn't want to watch tape on these fighters. And he just uses the excuse that he doesn't want to have any predisposed biases before the Contender Series when he chooses who he gives the contract to. The fact that he passed on Knutsson is 100% proof that this guy watches no tape and he really doesn't know who the regional scene prospects are. That's clearly left to the matchmakers who actually do the work for the UFC, which is why when they had an opponent drop out, the first person they called was not the 115-pound women who have already gotten contracts on the UFC on the Contender Series, but they called Josefine Knutsson because she's probably going to be top 10 in this division at one point or another. She's very young. She's very well-rounded. She's very confident. This girl's a stud. She's minus 700 for a reason, and she's probably going to look minus 1,000. I'm picking decision, but I could see her getting a knockout here too and really kind of announcing her arrival to the UFC strawweight division on Saturday. I'm very excited to see Josefine Knutsson in the UFC. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. Weezy, do I get Weezy feet pics on the Patreon? Yeah, that's not just the top tier. That's the $5 tier, that's the $10 tier, the $20 tier, depending on whether you get the prop template, the advanced stats, or just the basic stats. The feet pics are thrown in for free. So yeah. Sneery is saying, what could go wrong? Yeah, laying minus 700 on women's MMA. What could go wrong, right? Justin saying Strickland should fight Jared and Driscus versus Israel, and then Robert give him a less easy fight to stay relevant and not get rusty. Yes, I think that's not a bad idea. Josephine trains at Hamzat's gym. Yes, she trains at All Stars in Sweden. At Bananas and Grapes, yes. We got Professor Chaos in the room saying Josephine versus Loma would be a fun fight. Yeah, two very high-level Muay Thai strikers. That would be a really fun fight. I agree. Plus, he can pay her peanuts. Yeah, he was going to pay her peanuts anyway. None of these fighters make any money until they get some wins in the UFC. So, all right, you guys, Let's move on to the next fight. It is going to be Alex Reyes at plus 300 going up against Charlie the Cannibal Campbell at minus 400. Fight doesn't go to decision for this fight. Juice to the tits at minus 450 here. This is going to be a fun fight. Let's first start talking about the advantages of Alex Reyes here. Alex has the overall and UFC experience advantages with 7 more pro fights, almost 10 more minutes in the pro cage, and 11 and a half more years as a professional. However, the elephant in the room is that Reyes has not fought in 6 years and is coming back after having serious health problems in that time. So no fights for 6 years. You can find it right here in the layoff category, right here in ENF 17. 5 years, 11 months, and 14 days as of the day I imported this spreadsheet to Google. By the time fight day takes place, it's going to be over a 6-year layoff for Alex Reyes. Now, Alex is an opportunistic finisher. He has a 100% finish rate in 13 professional wins, 4 of them by submission, 9 of them by knockout, and he's only been to decision once in 16 professional fights, but 2 of those 13 finishes come in round 4 of 5 round fights. So it's not as if this guy has never been out of the first before. He is a great finisher, but he has the conditioning to go to the full 15 minutes. And Alex has solid wrestling and grappling. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt under Robert Drysdale. And you can see on his regional scene footage that he likes to wrestle and work from top position. His go-to submission is the arm triangle choke. But from what I saw on tape, he is submission over position. He can get a little over anxious and sloppy, looking to finish with submissions and then lose position. Now, Charlie the Cannibal Campbell on the other side is 8.5 years younger, and he's 1 inch taller than Alex. He's been far more active as of late. Charlie started his pro MMA career over 4 years ago, and since then has fought 9 times, while Alex has fought 0 times. So Alex hasn't had a professional fight since before Charlie Campbell was a professional mixed martial artist. Charlie has excellent boxing, and he has crazy power, you guys. If you haven't seen this kid fight yet, do yourself a favor. Get to one of these places where you can watch the tape and watch the tape on the Cannibal. This guy is so much fun to watch. He's 5 wins and 1 loss to the knockout in his career. And the one time he did get knocked out was a wild instant classic fight versus Chris Duncan, where he had Duncan in all kinds of trouble before getting sparked by a straight right. Charlie is really good on the feet. And if you have any chin issues, this is not the dude that you want to be fighting. So imagine coming off a 6-year layoff, being told by your doctors that you will never walk again in your life due to a stem cell injection into your spine that was infected with E. coli bacteria. That's what Alex Perez went through. And now here he is, 6 years later, beating the odds not only to walk again, but to get back in the cage and fight at the highest level possible, the UFC. It would be quite an inspirational story if Alex found a way to win this fight. That being said, Charlie Campbell is the worst kind of opponent to have any kind of ring rust against. He's a fast starter with massive power and accuracy early in fights. Alex is going to have to be ready to fight right at the word go and be aware and defensively responsible as soon as possible in this fight, because if he isn't, he's going to get knocked out in the first round. That's my prediction. I'm going with the younger, more powerful, busier fighter to get a first-round knockout over Reyes, who hasn't fought in 6 years, is coming off of serious health problems, and is going to have to find his way back into the fight. And doing that against a guy like Charlie Campbell, who can literally knock you out with the first punch that he lands, is just such an absolute nightmare of an opponent. It would have been so much better for Alex Reyes if he would have gotten to fight Natan Levy, who was his original opponent, because Levy doesn't really have any power. Levy will let you work your way into the fight. You know, he's more of a decision guy. So Alex could have gotten off to a slow start against a guy like Natan Levy, and it may have costed him the round, but it wouldn't have cost him the fight. If he comes out flat-footed and slow against Campbell, he's getting his head punted into the cheap seats, and they're going to pass it around and drink Mai Tais out of it. Well, there'll probably be Modelo's because it's UFC Noche, but one way or the other, they're gonna use his severed head as a receptacle to drink alcohol out of. So yeah, Charlie Campbell, the cannibal, he fucking eats people. Of course he's gonna shave this dude's ass. So yeah, Charlie the cannibal Campbell by first round knockout. I am really glad that Charlie Campbell is in the UFC. This guy's fights are going to be so much fun to watch, win or lose. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. We've got my guy is in the room saying Campbell round 1 KO TKO. I think that's going to be everybody's pick this week. And we got my guy Kiwi saying, sure, all you are early, right? I am not early. No, this is right on time. The time I always do it, Kiwi, 10 o'clock Central Time on Tuesday nights is always just a tip. But yeah, man, hopefully we're early to the window to cash a bunch of bets this week, my guy Kiwi. All right, let's see. Let's go on to this next fight. And it is going to be Tracy Cortez at minus 120. She is of Mexican heritage, ladies and gentlemen. She'll be squaring off against somebody who comes from our neighbors to the north, our friendly neighbors to the north, the Canadians. Jasmine Jasudavicius by way of Lithuania, plus 100. The fight doesn't go to decision, plus 250 for this fight. That is wrong. No, that is correct. Plus 250 is correct. So let's first start talking about Tracy Cortez's advantages in this fight. And let me get the stats up here for you guys. And there we go. Now, Tracy is almost 5 years younger than Jasmine Jasudavicius. And she's the better distance striker in this matchup, and the numbers do bear that out. Tracy's got the better distance striking differential. It's negative 0.43 for Tracy, but it's negative 2.94 for Jasmine Jasudavicius. She's got the better distance striking accuracy, about 45.5% compared to 35% for Jasmine. The better distance striking defense, 64% for Cortez, 53% for Jasmine. And Tracy lands more distance strikes per minute. She's landing 5.18 compared to 4.31 for Jasmine. And she's absorbing less as she absorbs 5.61 compared to 7.25 for Jasmine. Excuse me, guys. Jasmine's striking is definitely a work in progress as she's late to MMA. She didn't start MMA until her 30s, and her background is in wrestling. And while Tracy isn't known for her striking, I feel as if she should be the one winning the distance striking exchanges in this spot, unless Jasmine has made massive improvements in the last 3 months. But Jasmine will have a 3-inch reach advantage here, a 2-inch height advantage. So if Jasmine can clean up that distance striking defense and offense, she can find ways to stay behind that jab and win some minutes at distance here. But like I said, I will believe that she can do it when I actually see her do it. I haven't seen her do it yet. And the metrics on Cortez here against a similar level of competition show that she is going to be the better striker here. Both of these ladies are excellent wrestlers, but I do think Tracy is better there as well. Tracy's family has been friends with the Cejudo brothers forever. Tracy has wrestled with them since she was a teenager. Tracy gets her takedowns at a 45% clip. She defends them at a 69% rate, and she's getting 2.5 takedowns per 15 minutes while only allowing 1. Tracy outcontrols her opponents in control time positions 55% to 10%, outcontrolling them at a 5.5 to 1 ratio, winning almost 85% of the control time positions her fights have been in, and that's very impressive, seeing as her fights are in those positions over 65% of her UFC octagon time. Tracy's also fought credentialed grapplers like Melissa Gatto, Stephanie Edgar, and even Erin Blanchfield on the regional scene, and she's won the wrestling exchanges on the aggregate against all of them, except for the Blanchfield fight where it was very much back and forth. And Tracy's submission defense has always looked excellent. I feel as if there's more proof on tape of Tracy being the more reliable wrestler. And Tracy has fought the slightly better level of competition on the aggregate, and her UFC wins are just a very small amount better than Jasmine's, but it's very close. Now, Jasmine Jasudavicius, like I said, 2 inches taller, 3-inch reach advantage over Tracy. She's definitely the bigger flyweight here. And she's also an excellent wrestler and an efficient minute winner in the grappling exchanges. She averages 1.75 takedowns per 15 minutes, outcontrols her opponents 48% to 4.5%, winning over 91% of the control time positions her fights have been in. Both Tracy and Jasmine have been excellent wrestlers, so it will be interesting to see which one of these ladies will get the upper hand in this matchup. And my strength of schedule metric shows Jasmine fighting the better win-loss ratioed competition in the UFC. So in summary, this is a fascinating wrestler versus wrestler matchup. I like Jasmine's size and strength in this matchup, and her takedown defense has looked good at this level. Tracy's been around a little bit longer, but has been less active recently. She's on an over 1 year layoff, and the reason she wasn't medically cleared to fight Amanda Ribas is still a mystery. I definitely favor Tracy's striking and submission defense in this matchup. From what I've seen, the wrestling should be close, so I'm going to lean with Tracy Cortez winning this fight by decision. Love the over 2.5 rounds. When I wrote this, it was minus 350. Now it's already juiced up to minus 400. But I like it as a parlay piece. Tracy Cortez only has 1 or 2 wins by finish in her career, and that's in 10 wins. And they were against like 0-0 fighters. She's not a finisher. She's a minute winner. So I do like that over minus 350, minus 400. I think it's a decent parlay piece this week. And Cortez by decision at plus money is a very solid look, in my opinion, as well. But the pick, you guys, is going to be Tracy Cortez to win this fight by decision. And I have a 1.25 unit bet on her money line at minus 125. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. Justin saying, but if they say Hispanic for every 1 strike, it's like 7 strikes to the judges. And if it goes to decision, don't see how the judges don't give it to them. Yeah, potentially. Especially if the crowd is, really supporting the Hispanic fighters in this matchup. I would say you enjoying a Paloma in Spanish, but I don't think you're sipping on pigeon. Cortez is on a mission. Yeah, she hasn't fought in a while, so we're gonna have to make sure that she comes back and looks good. But she's definitely an absolutely elite wrestler without question. I think this one stays on the feet and against the cage, huh? Interesting. I don't think that Jasmine's going to be able to deal with the single and double leg attacks of Tracy. I think Jasmine kind of needs to get her takedowns from the clinch, but Tracy's cage wrestling is very, very good. So I'd be surprised if it stayed on the feet, but I think, Tracy doesn't necessarily even have to wrestle to win this fight, in my opinion. If she keeps it standing, I think she'll win the minutes there too. So that's why I like the minus 125 money line. Jasmine does have that dog in her. She was getting 7 shades of shit beaten out of her by Natalia Silva, but she never gave up and she never stopped trying to win that fight. So I definitely gained a lot of respect for Jasmine in that fight. She showed that she's mean. She's got a lot of heart and no quit in her. And those are the fighters that, fight for your money. Remdog saying, if Tracy has any ring rust, Jasmine could steal round 1 and 2. Yeah, potentially. I don't think she's going to have that ring rust, but I would really like to know what the hell that injury was, because what a mystery. Nobody knows why Tracy pulled out of that last fight, but she was not medically cleared by the doctors. So it's not like, Tracy had a bad day and just said she didn't want to fight. This was a medical issue. But we don't know what it is. So that's a missing piece of information that's staying, keeping me away from being more confident betting on this fight. I could see Saldemano giving it to the wrong fighter for sure. Pigeon in Spanish is Paloma? I had no idea, man. Papa Chuck saying, great to catch a live show. Best of luck to you this weekend. You too, Chuck. I'm looking forward to stacking them high. And we got Cheeky Elbow in the room saying, can't believe she's 34. Yeah, Cheeky Elbow, she just started MMA really late. I mean, if we look here on the stats that are available here on Patreon, She's 34 years old, but her MMA career has only lasted 4 years and 1 month. So she didn't even make her professional MMA debut until after she was 30 years old. All right, let's move on to the next fight. We got Edgar Chairez at minus 235, or I think that it's actually pronounced Chairez. Edgar Chairez minus 235 going up against Daniel Lacerda da Silva plus 200. Fight doesn't go to decision. Juiced to the tits at minus 500. Juiced to the tits is definitely the theme of this card, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to try to rename it to UFC Noche, parentheses, juiced to the tits. It'd be really cool. I'm going to put that in the description of the video after we're done here. That'd be pretty awesome. But anyway, Chairez Lacerda is going to be a really fun one here. Let's get the stats up on the screen for you guys. And let's first start talking about the advantages of Edgar Chairez. He's 1 inch taller, and he's got a 2-inch reach advantage in this spot. Edgar has a lot more experience in the cage as a pro. He has 1 less fight than Daniel da Silva, but he's got almost 70 more minutes of cage time because Daniel has a 3.45 minute average fight time, while for Edgar Chairez, it's 8.08. So Edgar is less of a killer be killed fighter than Daniel, as he's been to decision 3 times and been into the 5th round once, while Lacerda has never even seen a 3rd round in his career. And Edgar has solid striking, and he stays long, and he throws in combination. We have a very small sample size of distance striking with him in the UFC, but he's 4 wins and 0 losses to the knockout in his career. So not only is he powerful, he dropped Tyra in their fight, but he's also durable, having never been knocked out in 15 pro fights. And Chairez has a tricky grappling game in his own right. He's got more submissions than he does knockouts, and he's finished fights with arm bars, rear naked chokes, and guillotines. He survived being controlled by Tyra for over 9 minutes, and he successfully defended Tyra's submission attempt, which is impressive because Tyra is a stud. Now, Daniel Lacerda has 4 UFC fights, while Chairez only has 1, and Lacerda almost has 5 more minutes in the octagon. Lacerda is a very front-loaded fighter. He has a 100% finish rate, and you can see it in the way that he fights. He's never been to a decision in 16 pro fights. Daniel is landing a knockdown on just under 4% of the distance strikes that he lands. He's wild on the feet. He throws spinning hook kicks, jumping knees, head kicks, 1-2s down the pipe. He has no concern for defense at all or for his own safety, and he goes out there trying to finish by any means necessary in the very first round. Lacerda is very dangerous and powerful at distance striking range. 5 of his 11 pro wins come by way of knockout, and he's landed 4 knockdowns in 4 UFC fights. He's got a 1.38 distance striking differential to the positive side with over 47% accuracy and power. So he's very dangerous in the first round of his fights. Now, this is going to be a wild fight for as long as it lasts. These guys have a 100% finish rate in 21 combined wins, and they have been finished in 7 of their 10 combined losses. I do favor Chairez's technical striking and conditioning, but he does tend to get stuck on his back when he gets taken down. And early in the fight, both of these guys are going to be very dangerous at distance striking range. I like that we've seen Lacerda go for takedowns before, so I think that would be a smart game plan for him here, as Chairez does not have great takedown defense. He has a bad tendency to jump guillotine and then get stuck on his back. I think Chairez's durability will be his best attribute in this fight. And even though Lacerda is the flashier striker, I think Chairez will be more accurate and technical while this is on the feet. I have a funny feeling that this one might go over 1.5 rounds, but I don't have the sack to bet it. I think if Lacerda goes the grappling route, he could win minutes on top and bank a round or 2, but I doubt he has the conditioning to go 3 rounds at the pace that he fights at, especially if he's trying to wrestle. So I see Edgar Chairez weathering the early storm here and finding a finish in the 2nd or 3rd round by knockout. I will call it, let's say, a 2nd round knockout for Edgar Pitbull Chairez here. And I can't wait for this fight. This is going to be such a fun fight. I hope I don't care if Daniel Lacerda ever wins a UFC fight. I hope they give him 10 fights. You know, this guy is not going to be in boring fights. And even though he's 0-4, he's had moments in all of these fights. So I think he's a very exciting fighter. I'm really looking forward to seeing him again. And I hope, like I said, I hope they gave him another multi-fight deal. And I hope he gets rewarded for his very fan-friendly style. But yeah, the pick is going to be Edgar Pitbull Chairez knockout in round number 2. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I Curtis Clark, I don't have anything on DWCS. Please don't talk about it. I don't know what happened, and I'm planning on watching it after the show. Let's see. Being depressed is not serious medical problem over a breakup. That's not why she had to pull out of the fight, Justin. She was not medically cleared. So it had nothing to do with her being depressed because of a breakup. It was an injury that the doctors would not let her fight with. Uncle Weezy probably going to watch it late, so don't ruin it. I made that mistake. Everyone think 4th time the charm. Yeah, 5th time the charm. Dad's Files, what's up? We got Remdog saying, yeah, dude, Chairez is tough as shit. He had his moments against Tyra. I have a sneaky feeling Lacerda is due, but not sure I could put my money on, dude. Yeah, man, I feel the same way. Like, I feel like if Lacerda had 15 minutes of cardio, that he could go out here and get takedowns in every round and win minutes on top. And I think that while these guys are on the feet, especially early, it's going to be very close. Both of these guys are very dangerous, but I could see this fight going a bunch of different ways. High variance fight. They're both very explosive. They both have 100% finish rates. But in that case, when you got two guys with 100% finish rates, and then you got a guy in Chairez, right, who's only been submitted twice in 5 losses, and one of those submission losses came in round number 5 to Jesus Aguilar. And then you got a guy in Lacerda who's been finishing all 5 of his losses 4 times by knockout. You've got to say that Chairez is the more durable fighter. So you've got to like the more durable fighter when you've got 2 killer be killed fighters facing off against each other. So yeah, I'm leaning Chairez here. I'm picking him to win. But I mean, I think that there's paths here for Lacerda to get the job done and get the dub. Andy's plus 180, yeah, and he might be plus 200 in some spots, like Remdog's seeing. Like, let's see here. I'll refresh my fight odds. Yeah, dude, Daniel De Silva's, he was plus 210, but he's plus 210 on Pinnacle. And according to this, he's plus 215 on DraftKings. So yeah, big plus money numbers. And I'd also like to wait for some of these fights to kind of like put out that round 1 prop on Daniel De Silva because he's such big plus money. You might get De Silva round 1 at something like silly, like plus 400 or 500. And that would be worth betting because you know how dangerous he is early. Prince of Mischief saying UFC is setting up Lacerda to lose. He's lost all of his UFC fights. Pretty sure this is them hitting the final nail and then releasing him. I hope you're wrong, dude. I hope that he keeps fighting, man. He's such an exciting guy. Chairez seems durable. Yes, I agree with you, Andy. That's exactly what I'm saying. I think durability is what makes the difference here, and that's why I'm picking Chairez. Not packing a guy who's been finishing 4 times in a row. Yep. When things don't go his way, man, Lacerda has looked for that door. So you just said it's pronounced Chiai and then CH. You just spelled the same name. So I can't tell the correct pronunciation there, Crystal Octahedron. But I'm going with Chairez because I could have sworn that's how I heard Brandon Moreno pronounce it. And Chairez, he trains over at Entrum Gym, which is in the happiest place on earth, Tijuana, Baja California, Mexico. So if that's how Moreno says it, that's how I'm going to say it. Oh, dear God, Ortega tattooed his inside lip with Tracy's name. Bad decision. Bad decision, man. Andy Ellis saying Lacerda would be top 15 fighter if he had 15 minutes cardio. Yeah, dude, he probably would, Andy. That's probably true, man. Beginning the Kevin Holland decline, I don't know, man. Maybe more famous for catching street vandals than for fighting, but he's good at that, dude. You know, you could be good at more than one thing in life. But yeah, man, it's gonna be that's gonna be a great fight. I can't wait to talk about Holland against Della. Bananas and Grapes saying very exciting fight without question, man. We got Prince of Mischief saying, I'm hoping I'm wrong too, but 0-5 is not what they're looking for. Yeah, you might be right about that, dude. Crystal saying sorry. Yeah, I don't know what you meant by like the pronunciation there, brother. Weezy says, D Spearman, what's up, D? Good to see you hanging out in here, man. It's been a minute. Thanks for stopping by. Remdog saying, pronounce Chairez, like the T. Oh, yeah, Chai. Yeah, so Chairez, not Kai, like Q-U-E, like K. All right, yeah, so Chairez. I was right, and so was Brandon Moreno. That's how I heard Brandon Moreno say it, so that's why I'm saying it that way. All right, you guys, let's move on to the next fight, which is going to be Roman Kopylov at minus 410 going up against Josh, the Yins King Fremd at plus 310. We got fight doesn't go to decision at minus 200 for this fight. So, what is Fremd's nickname? What do they got him with here? Fremd. They don't list it there. I feel like it was on Tapology, but I don't want to. Fight Center, Promotion, UFC, Fight Night. I feel like Fremd was going with a pretty badass nickname. Now he's not even listed anymore, but he was going with like the Prince of Yins or the Yins King, or I don't know. But either way, man, it's Fremd, it's Kopylov. It's a great fight. Looking forward to it. Let's get to the stats here. That's the wrong one. That's the right one. And let's get to the notes. So, Kopylov, slight experience advantage with 35 more minutes in the pro cage and a little more than a year as a professional mixed martial artist. He also has one more UFC fight and 10 more minutes in the octagon compared to Josh. Roman is a very opportunistic finisher at distance striking range. He's 10 wins and 0 losses to the knockout in his career, and he's finished all but one of his pro wins by knockout. Roman has excellent stand-up. He's got a positive 1.1 distance striking differential with over 51% accuracy and 62.5% defense. Roman has knocked out everyone he's beaten in the UFC, so not only is he winning minutes, but also moments at range. Roman's a southpaw. He's got a nasty straight left and an equally nasty body kick from the southpaw stance that can catch the liver of his orthodox opponents. And Roman has shown really good takedown defense, which is important for a fighter that does his best work at distance striking range. He's shown 90% takedown defense against 20 attempts against, and over 84% of his UFC cage time is spent at distance striking range. So he's really good at using his wrestling in reverse to keep fights standing, which is good because he can get stuck on his back when he's put there. And Roman's UFC wins are just a shade better than Josh's, according to my strength to schedule metric. Now, Josh Fremd is almost 3 years younger. He's 4 inches taller, and he's got a 1-inch reach advantage over Roman. And he's more of an equal opportunity winner. Josh has got 3 wins by decision. He's got 4 wins by submission, and he's got 4 wins by knockout. So he's well-rounded enough to win minutes or moments wherever the fight goes. And although it's in a smaller sample size than Roman, Josh has excellent UFC striking metrics. He's got a positive 2.95 distance striking differential, 42% accuracy, 62.5% defense. He throws 5.98 more distance strike attempts per minute than his opponents do, and he's never been dropped in the UFC. Josh is way busier than Roman, so it'll be interesting to see how aggressive he is against a counter-striking sniper like Roman Kopylov. Very dangerous to kind of just stand in front of Roman and let your hands go, because Roman is so sharp on those counters that if you get sloppy, if you get over-aggressive, that's when Roman really starts to hurt you, because he will be low volume. Roman is a low-volume striker. However, he's precise. He's very accurate. You see that 51% accuracy right here at distance, and you see how green that number is, which indicates that it's way above average accuracy for the division. Now, Fremd is probably the better grappler in this matchup. He has a D1 wrestling background, and he's won 4 times by submission, while Kopylov relies on his distance striking. Kopylov has excellent takedown defense, but if Fremd can find ways to get this fight to the mat, he could find a path to victory here. Let's not forget that, Josh Fremd is a very good wrestler, and that Roman Kopylov, when he does get taken down, looks god awful when his back gets put on the mat. I love this fight. Kopylov is a very high-level striker. He's on a 3-fight knockout streak, and he's looked phenomenal in all those fights. His striking is so clean, so powerful. If this fight stays at distance striking range, I think the southpaw sniper in Kopylov has a massive advantage, evidenced by his 10 wins and 0 losses record to the knockout. Josh Fremd, on the other hand, is almost 5 years younger. He's just as experienced, and he's proven he can find multiple paths to victory, as evidenced by his 3-2 record to the decision, 4-1 record to the submission, and 4-1 record to the knockout. Fremd does have nasty KO power that we saw in the Lamar Gosi fight, where it sounded like Fremd broke Gosi's skull with knees. In the LJ Jones fight, he knocked out Jones so bad that the dude wound up face down, lifeless on the canvas. He nearly killed Bruno Oliveira with a left hook while moving backwards, and Bruno was so knocked out that he literally had to be helped out of the cage, not only because he was concussed from the left hook, but he was unable to walk because of Fremd's calf kicks. Roman Kopylov is not the only striker in this fight with knockout power, which is important to consider, because of where the line is. Fremd has more paths to victory. If he dirties up this fight, if he gets in the clinch, if he uses his size and length, mixes in the wrestling, whether it works or not, in order to deplete the gas tank of Kopylov, I honestly think Fremd could win enough minutes of this fight to either get a late finish or a decision victory. If he's unable to dirty up this fight and winds up staying at distance striking range with Kopylov, then I think it's entirely possible Kopylov looks minus 320 and maybe even better than that in this fight, because he does have phenomenal striking. If we do our due diligence, we have to admit that Kopylov does get taken down. Shit could get ugly really quick. Carl Roberson, who is a glory kickboxer, subbed Kopylov the second he took him down. And Duraev only got 1 takedown against Kopylov, but that takedown almost finished the fight with ground and pound and top control he accrued in the second round. So I'm very hesitant to lay the juice on Kopylov here, because if Fremd fights smart, I think that this fight could look much closer than what the current money line suggests it will look like. I think I might take the money line shot on Fremd here, and I actually did. He's live, in my opinion. Fremd by submission on BetOnline is plus 750, which I think is very intriguing. If he does get this fight to the ground, I really think it's likely that he could potentially submit Roman Kopylov. I'm going to pick Roman to win this fight by decision, but my money won't be on Roman on Saturday. It's going to be on Fremd, you guys. So I do think that Roman is probably going to win this fight, but probably is not good enough to bet on a minus 410 money line. So even though I'm picking Roman Kopylov by decision, I have 1 unit on the Josh Fremd money line here at plus 285, and I'm hoping that Josh from the word fight goes out there and clinches up with this dude and makes this a filthy, grindy, cage pushy, wrestly, crotch sniffing affair here that will take Roman Kopylov out of what he does best and make him very uncomfortable. And I think if he does that, I'm going to be very happy that I'm holding on to that plus 285 money line ticket for Josh Fremd. So that is the pick. It is Kopylov by decision, but the bet is Josh Fremd. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. Roman round 2 has been a money train lately. Yeah, dude, that's usually when he kind of like finds his range, finds the timing of his opponent, and then starts to land those big shots, man, without questions. If Fremd looks like what he did a month ago, it's going to be an easy night for Roman. I've heard a lot of people say that. They said that Fremd didn't look good against Pickett. He won all 3 rounds. He got no resistance at all from Jamie Pickett. He basically just took what Pickett gave him and cruised to a very easy victory against a very bad fighter. I don't know if we can take a lot from that performance. When your opponent gives you nothing and has nothing for you, you don't have to finish the guy if you don't fucking feel like it. If you don't feel like taking any unnecessary chances, especially when your opponent sucks and doesn't have anything to offer for you, yeah, it's a good opportunity to get some practice in there while collecting a win check. So I don't know what to take from the Pickett fight. Everybody hated Fremd's performance, but I think that most of that is just a bunch of people who had Fremd inside the distance there. They didn't cash the ticket and they're like, oh, it was a trash performance. But like I say, I think he won all 3 rounds, didn't he? Or am I missing something here? 30-27 on all 3 cards. He doubled them up on strikes, doubled them up on total strikes, almost tripled them up on head strikes, and out-controlled them 7 minutes and 15 seconds to 3 seconds. Pickett did get 2 takedowns, but Fremd reversed him once and had a couple of submission attempts. Yeah, so it was a clean win for Fremd, but definitely not what you would call an impressive win. Kopylov did survive Duraev by the cage. This will be at the Apex, so I hope Kopylov can use that to an advantage and not stay on the mat. Dude, Jason Herzog was reffing that fight, and I think if it had been anybody but Herzog, Goddard, or Keith Peterson, that fight would have been stopped. I mean, like, Kopylov got the absolute shit beaten out of him, and then in the 3rd round, both guys could barely even stand. It was a wild fight. You know, conditioning is very important. Roman Kopylov has demonstrated really bad conditioning on a couple of different occasions in the UFC. You know, and so is a well-rounded game plan and attack. And, you know, we've seen Kopylov get drowned a couple of different times in the UFC, one of them by a kickboxer. So, yeah, man, I think that there's a lot of unanswered questions here. Yeah, he barely survived Duraev. He barely survived his right. Has anyone seen Kopylov and Chase Hooper in the same room, or is Chase injecting bone stuff in him before he fights after his ego? Yeah, after he fights his alter ego, man, they do kind of look the same. They got that same head of hair for sure. Fremd doesn't have a nickname. Kind of sad. He did have one. I feel like I could ask Cody Brundage and be like, dude, what was Fremd? Because I think Fremd's a Philly guy, but he trains out there in Colorado over in Englewood with the Factory X boys. But I think they were calling them the Yins something. My guy, the general, in here taking notes, saying press the like button to become Kopylov. My guy, MMA Jesus, what's good, Weez? I called Sean. Yeah, you did. Congratulations on calling Sean Strickland. I thought you had lost your damn mind, Dev, but that is the kind of prediction that you can really hang your hat on. I hope you cashed huge on that, brother. Cuban Assassin in the room saying, going back to Cortez, I wonder if her and Brian Ortega's split will affect her mental game or affected her training. The answer to affected her training, I think, is a very resounding no. You got to remember, Tracy's been at Fight Ready, working with the Cejudo brothers since she was a teenager. Tracy Cortez is 30 years old. Her relationship with Brian Ortega lasted maybe a year or 18 months. She's been training with Santino DeFranco and the Cejudo brothers for over 10 years of her life. So I don't think it's going to affect her training at all, because she was always training and getting all of everything that she is today had nothing to do with what Brian Ortega helped her out with, because she was already a phenomenal wrestler before she met Brian. Yeah, Fremd did win easy, but I wasn't impressed. Yeah, I wasn't impressed either, Dev. No, I'm not lying to you there. I mean, like, I got Roman KO confident. Yeah, dude, I get it. Look, the line is here for a reason, you guys. I'm taking shots. You got to remember, when you take a guy at plus 285, that's a 26% implied probability. You got to win that bet 3 out of 10 times to come out plus EV. And I think 3 out of 10 times, Fremd can fight with a style where he's going to look a lot better than, plus 300 in this spot. Real Fight Pick saying, MMA Jesus, has seen you in Mannic's comment section. Made by day. Yeah, there we go, man. All right, you guys, here we go. Next fight is going to be Loopy Godinez, minus 450 Going up against Elise Reed at plus 350. Fight doesn't go to decision, plus 145 for this one. Let's get these stats up on the screen. And we're going to first start talking about Loopy Godinez's advantages here. She's the younger fighter here, but by less than a year compared to Elise. Loopy has the overall and UFC experience advantages with 3 more professional fights, over 60 more minutes in the pro cage, and almost a year longer as a pro fighter. She also has the UFC experience advantage with 2 more fights and 40 more minutes of octagon time. Loopy should be the busier striker. She attempts 13.1 distance strikes per minute, while Reed only attempts 10.31. She's more accurate at distance, 47% compared to 44% for Reed, and defensively responsible. She's got a 64% striking defense, while for Reed, it's 61%. Loopy has solid pocket boxing, so she won't be out of her depth on the feet at distance striking range here against Elise Reed. And when she commits to it, Loopy's a very talented wrestler. She averages 3.43 takedowns per 15 minutes on 7.96 attempts. That's a 43% accuracy. She outcontrols her opponents 33.6% to 9.4%, winning over 78% of the control time positions that she's been in. Reed's biggest weakness as a mixed martial artist is her takedown defense, which is 50% in the UFC, and her inability to get up when she's taken down, as she's getting out-controlled by her UFC opponents 39.3% to 10.8%, winning only 21% of the control time positions that she's been in. Loopy's biggest strength in her wrestling is Elise's biggest weakness. So if Loopy wrestles here, she should make it look very easy. And Loopy has the better UFC strength to schedule, and her wins in particular over Silvana Gomez Juarez, Loma Luke Bunmi, Ariane Carnellosi, Cynthia Calvillo, and Emily Ducote are better than Reed's wins over Corey McKenna, Melissa Martinez, and Jinyu Fry. The common opponent is Loma Luke Bunmi, and Loopy beat Loma by decision, and Reed lost to Loma by submission. Now, Elise Reed is the bigger fighter in this spot. She's going to be 1 inch taller. She's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage. Elise has really solid striking. She's got a Taekwondo background, has fantastic straight right hand, and really fast and accurate kicks. Elise has a positive 0.67 distance striking differential with above average accuracy at 44% and average defense at 61%. She's landed a UFC knockdown and has 2 pro wins coming by way of knockout. So here's a very important stat for anybody to look at thinking about laying minus 425 on Loopy Godinez. Over Loopy's last 3 fights, she's 2 of 8 on her takedown attempts for a grand total of 31 seconds of control time. That's 1.1% control time on 1 takedown per 15 minutes in her last 3 fights. Prior to that, Loopy in her previous 5 fights was 23 of 50 on her takedown attempts. 56% control time. So over those first 5 fights, we went from 50 takedown attempts in 5 fights and over 55% control time to only 8 takedown attempts in 3 fights, only 2 completed takedowns, and 2, like 0.67 takedowns per 15 minutes, less than 1.5% control time for. So something's wrong here. Something's very wrong. Loopy is fighting in a completely different fashion now than what she was when she first came into the UFC, which is when she was grappling and wrestling. Why isn't Loopy wrestling? If this trend continues, and I actually think that it might, then you would have to be out of your fucking mind to bet Loopy at minus 440 in a distance striking match against Elise Reed. If that trend continues where Loopy is not able to wrestle, then Reed at plus 325 is a very tempting price. If I'm picking Godinez to win this fight, and it means I need to be 100% sure she's going to wrestle, but how can I be sure of that after her last 3 fights? Is there an injury I don't know about that's preventing her from doing what got her to this level? If so, then I think a bet on Elise Reed by decision is worth it. If not, then Godinez probably submits Reed in the first or second round. A lot of unanswered questions here, and due to that, I actually think Reed by decision is a really cheeky bet this week that you can sprinkle without having to invest much. And then if Loopy fails to wrestle for the fourth straight fight, you can tell your friends, I told you that hole wasn't going to wrestle. If she does wrestle, she makes it look easy. Loopy was originally scheduled to fight Sam Hughes, another fighter who had problems with grapplers. So maybe her grappling game is ready to go, but I'm not going to count on Loopy grappling until I see her do it again. Look, there's whispers that she's got a neck injury. The neck injury popped up before the Angela Hill fight. And inexplicably, Loopy just refused to wrestle in that fight. She actually did get one takedown, but Angela Hill got right back up. And after that, she didn't even shoot anymore. Her coaches were telling her in the Ducote fight to go out there and shoot between the first and second round, to go out there and shoot between the second and third rounds. They're saying, get the takedown, Loopy, put her on her back. She attempts no takedowns in that fight. I'm pretty convinced here that Loopy Godinez has an injury that is preventing her from wrestling. Either that, or she's just got some of the worst fucking fight IQ in the women's strawweight division. So which is it, right? Is she just willing to not wrestle against fighters that she should be wrestling against? Because if that's the case, Elise Reed's going to be live in this spot. Here's what I think is going to happen. I don't think Loopy will even be out of her depth on the feet here. It's UFC Noche. I think that this fight goes the distance, and I think Loopy Godinez doesn't really wrestle much, and I think that she wins a decision here. Now, if I'm right, and Loopy Godinez doesn't wrestle like she did in the last three fights, just completely is happy to just sit there and strike, then I think Loopy Godinez wins this fight by decision, because I think that her higher volume style, she's very accurate. She's a little more defensively responsible, and she's a lot more active than Elise Reed. So I think that on UFC Noche, if Godinez doesn't wrestle, that's the way to play her. If you think that Godinez is going to wrestle, then you probably want to play her inside the distance, play her by submission. But I'm under the impression that something's wrong, that there's an injury that we don't know about, and that Loopy just didn't forget to wrestle the last three fights, that she's literally unable to. And if that's the case, Loopy Godinez by decision in a distance striking battle will be how she wins this fight. So Loopy by decision is the pick. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. Kopylov going to be the Izzy parlay buster if he loses? Yes, he will. If he loses. I'm not saying he's definitely going to lose or anything. Weezy, I missed the first fight, but I got Mannic, huge dog, plus 335. Dude, Dev, Knutsson's going to kill this fucking girl. This girl, Knutsson, is so fucking good. Marnic, Mann, stands perfectly square to her opponent. She provides so many targets. I think Knutsson might knock her out with a front leg head kick, but if she doesn't, I think she's just going to cruise to a decision win here. But whenever you're betting a plus 335, man, you don't have to put much money up. And if you see a path to victory, there's absolutely nothing wrong with taking a big plus money women's underdog. Those bets cash over the long term. So I'd wish you good luck, but it's going to fuck up my parlay if I do that, Dev. But I see where you're coming from, brother. Let's go, Rio, he says. Thanks, Weez. Let's go, my capping god. Love Loopy here. Yeah, I do too, man. Like and subscribe, says my guy, Prince of Mischief. I appreciate you. Yeah, all 56 of you guys, hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe if you haven't already. Maybe wrestling heavy taxes her gas tank. No, man. Like it's going to tax your gas tank, of course. I mean, anybody's going to get, very tired in a 15-minute fight. But, she got 8 takedowns against Ariane Carnelossi. You know, she's went out there and wrestled for 3 rounds and done it easily. So I don't understand why she's not doing it. Dog or pass, says Curtis Clark on this one. I see all Mexicans winning. Yeah, I got no problem with that, dude. None. Probably pass, says Curtis Clark. Yeah. Loopy will be juiced. She's a beast. Yeah, she is a beast. Loopy lock. Decision, most definitely. Okay, cool. You like the decision too. I think she's fine, Weezy. I agree. I definitely agree. Fight goes to split plus 500 on Bet Online. I'd like something a little bit fatter than that. But like I say, man, like if Loopy doesn't wrestle, Reed's going to be in this fight. She's got good striking, clean striking, a really nice straight right hand. She's got a Taekwondo background. She's got fast kicks. She's not trying to knock you out with them, but they get to the target quick. So Elise Reed's not going to be out of her depth at distance striking range, and neither will Godinez. But I just think the fight plays out a lot closer if it's a striking match than if Loopy chooses to wrestle here. All right, you guys, let's get on to this next fight, which is going to be Fernando Padilla versus Kyle Nelson. We got Padilla at minus 241, the big favorite here. Kyle Nelson on the comeback plus 206. Fight doesn't go to decision, minus 220 for this fight. So Fernando Padilla, 5.5 years younger than Kyle Nelson, 2 inches taller, and a 5-inch reach advantage. Really nice measurables advantages here for Padilla. And even though Fernando is 5.5 years younger than Kyle, he's got a comparable level of overall experience with just 1 less professional fight in 3 less years as a professional. He's been the more active professional, and I always like when a younger fighter has a similar level of pro experience to the older fighter, because we know that youth is always a statistical advantage when it comes to betting lines. But then you don't have this young man at an experience disadvantage either. It's a very comforting feeling. Fernando has been the more opportunistic finisher as a pro. He's got an 86% finish rate as a pro in 15 wins. He's got 8 submissions and 5 knockouts, compared to 65% for Nelson in 14 wins, where he's got 4 submissions and 5 knockouts. In addition, Padilla has never been finished in 19 pro fights and 4 losses, while Kyle Nelson has been finished in 3 of his 5 losses and has been knocked out twice and subbed once. So I'd also have to give the durability edge to Padilla here. And Padilla's a difficult striker to deal with because he uses his length well. He stays behind a crisp jab, heavy low kicks, and he throws with power and in combination. He's 5 wins and 0 losses to the knockout, and he throws a lot of volume and he pressures when he's at distance striking range. He knocked out a Rosa in less than 2 minutes in his UFC debut while throwing almost 17 distance strike attempts per minute in his brief time at range. Dealing with his length, his jab, his teeps, and his low leg kicks will be a problem for anybody. And Fernando is particularly technical and nasty in the clinch. He's long. He uses his elbows and knees very well. And Padilla's 8 wins and 0 losses to the submission in his career. He's a 10th planet Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, and his rubber guard is really good, and obviously his length presents a unique problem to a lot of people. He's most dangerous from his back, and when you look at his resume, you see all his submissions are guard submissions. He's got 4 arm bars, 3 triangles, and 1 triangle arm bar. So obviously, if you take Padilla down, your submission defense from the guard better be on point. Now, Kyle Nelson has got the overall and the UFC experience advantages. He's got 1 more pro fight. He's got 50 more minutes in the pro cage and 3 more years as a pro fighter. He also has the UFC experience advantage with 6 more fights and 75 more minutes in the octagon. Kyle does seem to be the better minute winner, as he's 5 wins, 2 losses, and a draw in decisions, while Fernando Padilla is 2 wins and 4 losses to the decision. And he probably has to do with something with Padilla's willingness to accept bottom positions against wrestlers and lose minutes there. He also doesn't have the best conditioning. Padilla does slow down later on in fights. Kyle has 4 wins by submission, 5 by knockout, and 5 by decision. So he's definitely the guy with the history of fighting multiple paths to victory. However, as of late, Fernando's striking is really improving. So I'm not sure Kyle has more paths to victory in this particular matchup. But historically, he's been a little bit more diverse with his path to victory. And then Kyle has fought the better brand of competition in his career, as he has 7 UFC fights compared to only 1 for Padilla. And Kyle is fighting, beating, and losing the UFC fighters that have at least a 500 record. So this is an interesting fight, and I get why the line is where it is. Padilla's younger, he's longer, he's taller, he's the better finisher, and he's the more dangerous submission grappler, and he's more durable. And it's UFC Noche, so that you know that UFC is trying to get him a win. It's not UFC A, like A. It's UFC Noche A. So it's not, they're not rooting for the Canadians here. They're rooting for the Mexicans. So Kyle will probably try to dirty up this fight, but Padilla is really good in the clinch and so dangerous with his submissions and rubber guard that I think he should win the minutes and also be the more probable moment winner in this fight. So I'm predicting a second round submission win by Fernando Padilla in this spot. So Padilla by submission, round 2 is what I'm going with here. But if he doesn't get this done in the first or the second, Fernando does tend to fade late, and we could see Kyle Nelson potentially, whose conditioning has gotten a lot better over his last few fights, maybe put a late push on here in the third to try to get the win. So that would be interesting, but still I'm going with Padilla to win by second round submission. All right. Zero Miedo says Loopy is going to smash. Yeah, if she grapples, she's going to destroy Elise Reed. I just don't know if she has the capability to do it anymore. MMA Jesus 420 saying, did you see Knutsson's last fight? She's not good. Wow. She didn't even get the contract. Dude, you've got to go watch the tape on Josefine Knutsson, Dev. I'm fucking telling you, this girl is phenomenal. She's one of the top kickboxers in the world. I mean, like top 3, top 4 Muay Thai kickboxers under 125 pounds in the entire world. She won the gold in 2018. She won the bronze in 2017. 3-time Swedish Muay Thai champion. Tons of control time. She was a minus 1,300 favorite when she fought on Road to UFC. She was minus 700 on Dana White's Contender Series. She's one of the top prospects in the strawweight division in the entire world, and she's going to be top 10 in this division. She's not good. She's fucking great, and she's going to fuck Marnic, man. Yeah, dude. Marnic Mann money is dead money, in my opinion, but it's a women's fight, and you can never be surprised when a big women's favorite shits the bed. Knutsson looked all right, but she probably could have finished the fight with a tad more aggression. Not really a finisher, though. Only 1 finish and 6 wins. Minus 650 is crazy, though. It's actually minus 700, Jake, so even crazier. But the line is at minus 700 for a reason. I had Knutsson as a dog versus Lucindo, high on her as well. Yeah, I would have been betting her as an underdog bigly against Jasmine Lucindo because I think she's much more technical. Padilla gets hit a lot. Yes, he does. And he doesn't check leg kicks, which is concerning. Padilla does get hit a lot, you guys. That is for sure. Am I expecting Nelson to take Padilla down? I think he was going to try, and I think he could probably get Padilla down. Yes. The question is, how comfortable is he going to be once he gets there? Because Padilla is very aggressive, super long limbs, always gets you into that rubber guard and kind of puts you in a position where even though you're on top, you're not really landing any damage, and then you're just defending against submissions. So I don't think Kyle's going to do much with the wrestling here. And Kyle's wrestling accuracy is very bad, you guys. If we look here at the advanced stats, he's 7 of 31 on his takedown attempts, only 22.5% accuracy. And even though he attempts 31 takedowns and his opponents have only attempted 14, he actually gets out-controlled by his opponents. So Kyle's grappling efficiency numbers are very poor. So, yeah, I mean, he might try to wrestle Padilla. I don't know. I don't know how he's going to win this fight. I think Padilla really is more dangerous everywhere. It's just that he's going to have to grind it out. I think he's going to have to get this fight to the 3rd round to find success. A few Canadians on the card. Does Mexico have a decent Canada community? As a matter of fact, Loopy Godinez trains and lives in Canada, so she represents both countries. But she's from Aguascalientes, Mexico. But she had to leave there because her family was experiencing some problems and they had to get the hell out of there, so they moved to Canada. Illegal knee on the road to UFC, hair pulling in DWCS, though. Yes, she did have an illegal knee on road to UFC, and she also had an illegal knee in her fight against Lanchana Green, I believe. So she has had some fouls, Knutsson has. She keeps getting a pass. Marnic is a midget or a tall baby. Yeah, she's 5 feet tall. She's very undersized for the division. Padilla takes so much damage. Nelson could get a KO win or a decision. I don't think he's knocking out Padilla, dude. Padilla is very durable, but he does get hit a lot. You guys are absolutely right about that. Okay, next fight, you guys, is going to be Daniel Zellhuber, the Golden Boy, at minus 260, going up against Christos Giagos, plus 220. Fight doesn't go to decision at minus 155 here. There are the stats, and let's first start talking about the Golden Boy, Daniel Zellhuber, as he's going to have massive measurables advantages here. He's 9.5 years younger than Christos. He's 3 inches taller, and he's going to have a 6-inch reach advantage. In addition, Zellhuber is a switch stance fighter, and Giagos is orthodox. Zellhuber is very durable. He's never been finished in his career, and we saw in Dana White's Contender Series that Zellhuber does indeed have an ironclad chin, eating clean shots like nothing from the very powerful Lucas Almeida. Giagos has been finished in 7 of his 10 pro losses, so I'll give a big durability edge here to Zellhuber. And he's also going to have the conditioning edge. He used to live in Mexico City and train at like 8,000 feet elevation. He's shown good cardio in his UFC fights, and he's usually winning third rounds like he did against Venata and Almeida. We've seen Giagos death gas early in fights, so it's safe to say Zellhuber will have the superior conditioning here. And Daniel's a very skilled kickboxer. He has unusual height and reach for the division, and he uses it very well. He stays behind a crispy jab and teep kicks that help him maintain range and deal with pressure. Daniel switches stances. He's got fast, accurate kicks, and he can absolutely land with power, as he's 7 wins and 0 losses to the knockout in his career. Christos is going to have a tough puzzle to solve at distance striking range, being 3 inches shorter and at a 6-inch reach disadvantage against a guy who maintains range well with the jab and teeps while switching stances here. And Daniel's done an excellent job thus far of using his wrestling in reverse to keep fights at distance striking range. He has 92% takedown defense on 12 attempts against, and almost 92% of his UFC cage time has taken place at distance striking range, where Daniel has the measurables advantages and does his best work. Now, Christos Giagos definitely has the experience advantage here. He's got 16 more pro fights and 160 more minutes in the pro cage and over 6 more years as a pro fighter. He also has the UFC experience advantage with 10 more fights and 75 more minutes in the octagon. Christos actually has the better distance striking metrics in the UFC and a larger sample size of distance striking minutes. He lands more strikes per minute, 4.28 to 3.73. He absorbs less. He absorbs 3.73 while Zellhuber absorbs 4.36. And he's more accurate by about 6.5% and more defensively responsible by about 6%. Christos also has a superior distance striking differential, positive 0.55 compared to negative 0.69 for Zellhuber. If Daniel is sloppy and defensively irresponsible, I guess it's not out of the realm of possibility that Christos can maybe win some minutes on the feet here. And he's the better and more committed wrestler and grappler as Giagos. He averages 3.16 takedowns per 15 minutes with 41.5% accuracy. He outcontrols his opponents 33% to 20%, winning 62% of the control time positions his fights have been in. And in Christos' 6 UFC wins, he's 20 of 44, 45% on his takedown attempts with 49% control time. And in his 6 UFC losses, he's 2 of 9 on his takedowns with only 14.6% control time. So Christos has been taken down in all but one of his losses. So winning the grappling exchanges has been essential for Giagos in order to have success. And Christos has fought the much better level of competition overall compared to Zellhuber. Although Christos wins Jorge de Oliveira, Mizuto Hirota, Damir Hadzovic, Carlton Clutch Minus, Sean Soriano, and Ricky Glenn, they've got a combined record of 9 wins and 23 losses in the UFC. The average UFC record of a guy Giagos beats is 1.5 wins and 3.83 losses. But he's losing the guys with a combined UFC record of 62 wins and 24 losses, an average UFC record of 10.33 wins and 4 losses. So Giagos loses the studs and he beats bums. And Zellhuber is kind of somewhere in between. So this looks like the UFC is setting up Daniel Zellhuber for a win on the UFC Noche card. But Giagos is an experienced veteran who's powerful on the feet. He can wrestle and win minutes there. So I think that this is an excellent test for the 24-year-old Zellhuber. I love for the 24-year-old Zellhuber against an experienced, well-rounded veteran in Christos Giagos. I definitely love the youth, the size, the length, the ability to switch stances at range and manage distance well of Zellhuber. If he can continue to use his wrestling in reverse to keep this fight at distance striking range, I think he'll win. However, if Giagos pressures from the jump, gets inside, walks Daniel down and dirties up this fight in the clinch and mixes in the wrestling, I think he can make this fight very close and potentially even win. Giagos does his best work when he goes hard on the wrestling, grappling, and pressure. I'm just not sure he has the gas tank to push that kind of a pace against a long, strong, young guy like Zellhuber with really good takedown defense and excellent conditioning. I'm picking Zellhuber to win by second round knockout after Giagos gasses out trying to wrestle. So we're going to go with Daniel, the Golden Boy Zellhuber here by KO in round number 2 against Christos, the Spartan Giagos. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. Christos via KO, says my guy MMA Jesus. If he gets inside, that would be something because Zellhuber, you guys, his distance striking defense at only 53%, man. Leaves a lot to be desired. He's pretty hittable for a guy who's so long and who has that great range and is able to use it. So I'd like to see Zellhuber kind of clean up that distance striking defense, but we got to keep in mind here that, you know, at the age of 24, Daniel Zellhuber could be making big improvements in between fights here. While Christos Giagos is really a finished product here at the age of 33 in the lightweight division. Christos is probably going to gas. Yeah, I agree with you, but he will be very dangerous early. Dazfile saying Greek Mafia for the KO. No idea. It will be a crazy fight. Yeah, it's going to be a fun one, man. Giagos is always in fun fights. Andy L. Zellhuber versus Ogden was bad, but I'll take that down to octagon jitters. He looked good against Venata, and I think with the Mexican crowd behind him, he will be more aggressive. Yeah, he looked much better against Venata. That Ogden performance, it's just you chalk it up to nerves. You know, that's what I try to do because every once in a while, you know, fighters have really bad debuts, man. Taylor Santos had a horrible debut against Mara Romero Borello. You know, we get Zellhuber had that absolutely brutal debut against Trey Ogden. You know, sometimes guys come out flat and they suck. And then in that next fight, let's not forget Jacqueline Amorim coming in, gassing out after one round after almost submitting Sam Hughes in the first. But then you see them kind of right the ship. They know what to expect. That, you know, they prepare for an adrenaline dump. They know that they won't let that happen again. So, yeah, this is going to be a good fight, a very fun fight, and I think it finishes inside the distance. Giga Chat of MPC says the dog molester has been slayed by Strickland. It's now Peter's job to put him in prison for his crimes against nature. And Zero Miedo saying Zellhuber will be motivated. He trains at Extreme Couture and he'll be pumped because of Sean. Yeah, for sure, dude. I mean, yeah, and he's at one of the best gyms in the world, you know, and he used to train in Mexico City, but now he's at Extreme Couture, and he got over there when he was like 23 years old, guys. So maybe even 22. So Daniel Zellhuber is going to be making improvements here, and he's got the things that you can't teach. He's long. He's tall. You know, he's got a 77-inch reach for this division, which is huge, very long. And he switches stances, you know, so you can't really teach that shit, you know. So I think it's going to be really important to remember that Zellhuber is still improving, still only 24 years old. Can't trust Giagos to keep a pace for 3 rounds. Not hell, even 2 rounds. It's right. And I was at UFC 290, and that crowd was heavily in favor of Mexico's fighter, and it didn't help any. So best not to be banking solely on that. Yeah, you don't bank solely on like who the crowd wants to win, but sometimes it does help when it goes to decision. All right, let's move on to the next fight. We are barely going to spend any time on this because this, I don't even know how this is a sanctioned fight, but we're going with Raul Rosas Jr. That is not a typo. Minus 800 is the line here. Terrance Mitchell plus 550 on the comeback. And yeah, that is not a typo again for the fight doesn't go to decision. It looks like I just typed minus 800 again on accident because that's Raul Rosas's money line, but no. If you want the Raul Rosas money line, you got to pay minus 800. And if you want to bet the fight doesn't go to decision, you got to bet minus 800. UFC Noche, juiced to the tits, ladies and gentlemen. Let's speed through this non-fight. Rosas advantages. 15 years younger than Terrance, and he's a switch stance fighter fighting in orthodox. Raul's more durable. He's never been finished, while Mitchell gets smoked by every real fighter he ever steps in the cage with. Raul has the better striking. There is only one guy in the division we can actually say that against, and it just happens to be Terrance Mitchell. Raul's grappling is miles ahead of Terrance's. This will not even be close once it goes to the ground. Raul has fought the better level of competition, as Terrance is from Alaska FC, the lowest level regional scene promotion on the continent, and perhaps even the world. Okay. Terrance Mitchell advantages. He's 1 inch taller, and he's going to have a 7-inch reach advantage here. And he's got more pro fights and years in the game than Rosas. He's got 8 more fights and over 12 more years as a professional. Terrance Mitchell has no business fighting at this level. Terrance took 5 years off from fighting between 2018 and 2023. Then after that, he got 2 wins in Alaska Combat Entertainment, one over a janitor named Skylar Schlosser, and the other one was over a fisherman named Christian Alexander. Then he got inexplicably received a call from the UFC to come to Vegas and get his ass shaved by Cameron Simon, and he did exactly that. Raul's the real deal. He's a high-level BJJ player with the cage wrestling necessary to get fights to the ground and past the dominant positions. It's going to be El Mariachi Loco, Raul Rosas Jr. winning this fight by first-round submission, but the lines on this fight are all so juiced to the tits that I won't have any action on this fight. I know some of you guys are saying, no, Raul Rosas' nickname is El Nino Problema. He used to be known as El Mariachi Loco, and he will forever in my heart be known as El Mariachi Loco, and I will be calling Raul Rosas Jr. El Mariachi Loco for the remainder of his professional mixed martial arts career, and there's not a goddamn thing that any of you guys out there can do in YouTube land to stop me. The pick, El Mariachi Loco, Raul Rosas Jr., first round submission. Terrance Mitchell, what are you doing here? Okay, let's go to the next fight, a real fight here between the Trailblazer, Kevin Holland, plus 127, going up against Jack Della Maddalena, minus 147. Fight doesn't go to decision for this one at minus 165. So here are the stats. And let's first start talking about Kevin Trailblazer Holland here. Kevin is 4 inches taller, and he's got an 8-inch reach advantage. He's the much taller and longer welterweight. Kevin has a massive experience advantage. He has 18 more pro fights, 205 more minutes in the pro cage, and 1 more year as a pro fighter. Kevin also has the UFC experience advantage with 14 more fights and 175 more minutes in the octagon, almost 3 more hours in the octagon than Jack Della. Kevin has legendary durability and an iron chin. He's never been knocked out in 35 professional fights, and he's never been dropped in 19 UFC fights. And he spent most of his career at middleweight facing much harder punchers. And Kevin is damn good on the feet. Everyone knows that Jack Della has phenomenal pocket boxing, but Kevin has an 81-inch reach, and he uses it well. He moves well laterally at distance striking range and manages distance fairly well with his kicks and jabs and 1-2s that he throws straight down the pipe. Kevin has landed 5 knockdowns in 19 UFC fights, and 6 of his 12 UFC wins come by way of knockout, and 2 of his 3 submission wins come by way of Darce choke after he hurt his opponent on the feet. Kevin is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt under Travis Lutter, and his unusually long reach means that he's got a nasty front choke series. The biggest weakness in Jack's MMA game is the grappling and submission defense. So perhaps Holland could win some minutes and try to set up some submissions if he attempts to get this fight to the ground. And Kevin has fought and beaten the much more experienced and better level of competition over his UFC career, and it really isn't even close. Now, Jack Della is almost 4 years younger than Kevin, and he constantly is switching stances on the feet, which is tricky. Jack's pocket boxing is out of this world. In a 16-minute sample size of distance striking in the UFC, Jack's got a positive 4.62 distance striking differential with over 51% accuracy and 73% defense. He lands 9.17 distance strikes per minute while absorbing 4.56. Jack has 5 UFC knockdowns in 5 fights and in only 16 and a half minutes at distance striking range. And 3 of his 5 UFC wins come by way of knockout, and he subbed Randy Brown after dropping him in their fight. Once Jack is in the pocket, he's so dangerous. He switches stances, and whatever stance he's in, he stays behind a hard, fast jab. He throws in combination and with tons of power, and his hands are always high defensively. He moves his head off the center line pretty well, and he stays tremendously defensively responsible, as evidenced by his 73.4% distance striking defense. And I think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's always got his hands high. He's always ready to parry and block punches. And if Jack finds a way to close the distance against Kevin, then Kevin is going to have a bad time on Saturday. So this is a fantastic fight and such a great test for Jack. Kevin is a super experienced, durable, well-rounded fighter to test his skills against. On paper, Holland is taller, longer, more experienced. He's a very effective striker. He's the much more dangerous and credentialed submission grappler, and he's fought and beaten the much better level of competition, and he could be had for plus money. I will not be laying the juice on Jack on Saturday, even though I really think he's a budding star in the promotion. Jack really had problems closing the distance against Randy Brown in their fight, and he actually dropped him with the first punch he landed and then finished with the 1-hook rear naked choke. But Holland is crazy durable. It's going to take way more than one big shot to drop Kevin, and if you get too out over your toes trying to close distance against Kevin, you run the risk of walking onto something huge, and it might not be a 1-2 down the middle. It might be a step-in knee that Kevin is really good at landing. Also, he's got a fantastic check left hook as well. So Holland's got a lot of dangerous weapons. I'm really excited to see how Jack deals with closing the range on Kevin, because Kevin does do a decent job of distance management, and that is going to be of paramount importance to his success on Saturday, is maintaining this distance and not letting Jack get into the pocket. I'm going to go with all the on-paper advantages Kevin has. Yes, and I'm picking Kevin Holland to win this fight by decision. I think the Kevin Holland money line at plus money is a pretty solid look this weekend. I haven't gotten there yet. I think that there's a bunch of hype on Jack Della, but I still need Jack to prove to me that he can win fights in other ways than somebody just standing in front of him and refusing to grapple against him. I'm interested to see, how he closes distance against Kevin, how he does in the clinch against Kevin, and what happens if Kevin gets to the grappling exchanges here and starts to lock up some front choke series. I think that these are all ways that we could see Kevin actually come out with his hand raised here. Jack Della's special. And if Kevin fights stupid, which is something that he does a lot of the time, you guys, you really can't count on Kevin ever to take the path of least resistance. It's just not how it's not the cloth that he's cut from. It's just not Kevin Holland. Kevin is there to put on a show. Kevin fights in a way that serves his own ego. He's not going to do something that he doesn't feel like doing. And a lot of times he doesn't feel like doing the smart thing that most people would suggest that he does in order to win the fight. But I don't think he's going to be out of his depth at distance striking range. And I think that if Jack gets sloppy trying to close the distance here, that Kevin might catch him with something and could, I think Kevin could finish him potentially. So yeah, but I am going to go with Kevin Holland to win this fight by decision, you guys. All right. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. Raul round 2 plus 475. No, I mean, I think Mitchell is that bad. You know, and Rosas, let's face it, the guy's really good too. So I think you just got to bite the bullet and go Raul round 1. But I'm not betting it. Can't believe JDM opened the dog. Yeah, there's a lot of that on paper shit that I was talking about, Dev. Reach disadvantage, height disadvantage, experience disadvantage, grappling disadvantage, strength of schedule disadvantage. Really, outside of the pocket boxing, I don't know if Jack Della is really that great. But when you are in the pocket with this guy, it is the absolute worst place to be. So we'll see if Kevin fights smart. He probably won't. Immaculaton, Kevin here at plus money, 8-inch reach, much better grappling, and finally someone with worse fight IQ than him, putting my cardboard box on Kevin and a Valentina parlay. There you go, brother. I like it. Foot in the room saying Kevin Holland gifted a layup fight with Chiesa, loving the JDM odds. Yeah, man, the Chiesa win was pretty easy, man. Jake says he likes Shevchenko too at minus 165. This is a big fight for her legacy. Yes, it is. Holland money line for Lucas Olzawi. Immaculaton saying JDM couldn't finish a completely dead Basez or whatever his name was and gassed after 1.5 rounds. I'm going Kevin, especially if it's not an early finish for JDM. I like my odds. MMA Jesus has got JDM all day in this one. Matt W saying if you look at Chiesa's record on Tapology, everyone who beats Chiesa loses their next fight. It's the Chiesa curse. So Holland is fooked, says Matt W. That's interesting. We'll see if that if the Chiesa curse continues on Saturday. Kevin was beating Wonder Boy and gave the fight up. His IQ is horrible. I couldn't agree more, MMA Jesus. His IQ is, yes, he's a showman, not a technical fighter. Yep, agreed. Immaculaton, JDM, the jumping guillotine champ is not any starter. Stop it. Yeah, I know. You know, yeah. Kevin doesn't know Jack from Adam, so I don't think you can expect him to stunt like he did against Wonder Boy. Yeah, it's true. JDM is Cody Brundage with power. Yeah, he jumps that guillotine a lot. JDM is what Volk thinks he is. Immaculaton liked it. Watching Holland shoot for the first time in round 4 against Wonder Boy was so frustrating. Yeah, I know, dude. It's bad. Remdog, I'm going to pucker up. I'm going to take the over 2.5 rounds at plus money. Let's see a round 3, a 3-round war. I don't hate that, Remdog. I got JDM round 2 knockout, says MMA Jesus. After the UFC's golden boy Raul lost his last fight, the UFC is getting Raul the ultimate layup, and that ultimate layup's name is Terrance Mitchell. Boob. You really think the UFC would let Grasso lose on Mexican Independence Day? I think that's up to Valentina Shevchenko and Grasso, not the UFC. Unless it goes to decision, in which case they could give a couple of judges a bag to do whatever, they want them to do. Hopefully Grasso wins. I'm not sure I can take that Valentina victory dance. Thanks for the show, Weezy. You got it, my man. All right, you guys, we got to get to the main event here. We're already 2 hours and 4 minutes in. Great audience interaction today. That's why we went a little bit longer. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. Hit that thumbs up, please. Hit that subscribe if you haven't already. Leave me a comment down below, and please consider joining the Patreon in order to help support my work so that I keep showing up here on YouTube every week for free. And we are getting to the last fight of the night, UFC Noche's main event. It is going to be the rematch between your current champion, Alexa Grasso. She's the underdog at plus 143, squaring off against Valentina Bullet Shevchenko, minus 163. Fight doesn't go, plus money here at plus 110. So let's get the stats up on the screen, and we're going to first start talking about your champion, Alexa Grasso. She's 5.5 years younger than Valentina. Alexa has excellent boxing. She's got a positive 0.86 distance striking differential with 40% accuracy and 62% defense. She's a much higher volume striker than Valentina, as she throws 14.36 distance strike attempts per minute compared to only 8.68 for Valentina. In the first fight, Alexa did a nice job at distance striking range versus Valentina. So I think she's on Valentina's level at that range and will be able to win minutes there as probably as Valentina can win minutes there. And Alexa has really good grappling efficiency. She's only attempted 9 takedowns, but her opponents have attempted 54. Yet Alexa still manages to win almost 37% of the control time positions in her fights, despite only attempting 14% of the takedowns. So that's a really good efficiency rating, according to what I usually see. And then Valentina Shevchenko's advantages, she's got a lot of advantages on paper in this fight, right? She's got the experience advantage over Alexa. She's got 8 more pro fights, over 100 more minutes in the cage, and almost 10 more years as a pro mixed martial artist. She also has 4 more UFC fights and over 100 more minutes in the octagon. Valentina's been the more opportunistic finisher as a pro. She has a 65% finish rate in 23 pro wins. She's got 7 submissions and 8 knockouts, while Grasso's finish rate is less than that at 38%. Valentina finished 6 of her 12 UFC wins, 50%, while for Alexa, it's 25%, 2 of 8. Now, Valentina has always been a high-level Muay Thai kickboxer. She's a powerful counter striker. Valentina's low volume, but very precise and very defensively responsible. Her 46% distance striking accuracy and her 69% distance striking defense are both way above average for the division, and she boasts a positive 1.33 distance striking differential to boot. Valentina has 4 UFC knockout wins, and Grasso has 0. So even though Grasso has probably got the best of the distance striking exchanges in that first fight, it would be silly to just assume that that's going to happen again. Both fighters will make adjustments this time around. Valentina's done a great job of mixing in her wrestling to win minutes. She's got 45 takedowns in 15 UFC fights, averaging 2.57 takedowns per 15 minutes and out-controlling her opponents 28% to 15%. Valentina got 4 takedowns and over 5 minutes of control time in the first fight, so you can expect her to continue to mix in the wrestling to prevent Grasso from sitting down on her punches at distance, and a way to continue to win minutes in the grappling exchanges. And Valentina has fought and beaten the better win-loss ratioed and more experienced competition, according to my strength of schedule metric. This is probably going to be a close fight, and I feel safe assuming that this time this fight is going to see the scorecards. Valentina has nice advantages on paper, being the more well-rounded, experienced, and tested fighter. She's won 2 of the first 3 rounds the first time and then got caught throwing a spinning back kick, got her back taken, and she got choked out. Plan for Alexa to be ready for the wrestling this time and to do her best to keep this fight at distance striking range. While this is at distance, I see it being very close. Both ladies are fast. Both ladies are accurate. Valentina is such a talented counter striker, and Grasso is so crisp and clean in the pocket with her hands. I think Alexa stuffs the takedowns this time around, like we saw her do in the 4th round of the first fight. And I think she's going to win a very close decision here. And still, Alexa Grasso on UFC Noche. So, last pick Alexa Grasso to win by decision. Let's save these picks. You can always check me out at Vic Vinegar on Tapology. And let's see what you guys are saying in the chat about that. Keep in mind that the UFC officially merged with the WWE this week. Coincidence? No. I think they fix fights all the time. I just think it's a lot less in the open with the UFC than it is for the WWE. Give me that Valentina hot sauce, baby, says Jester. Weezy's Patreon is positive EV, says Remdog. I appreciate you, Remdog. Hey, man, if you're the type of person that likes to do your own research, having all those analytics and statistics at your fingertips, all on the same page for every matchup is really going to be something that helps you out doing the wiki capping before you watch the tape. And when you do those stats and wiki capping first before you watch the tape, it gives you an idea of what you're looking for on tape. Helps your tape study time become even more valuable. My guy Tommy Under's in the room. What's happening, Tommy? Long time no see. Hope all is well, brother. We got Jake C saying, you don't think Valentina would love to get revenge on Mexican Independence Day? She's petty like that. Dude, Valentina speaks like almost flawless Spanish. Valentina speaks like 5 or 6 languages. She lived in Peru, so she speaks Spanish. She speaks better Spanish than half the people on this card. So, she's definitely got some Latino spirit of her own, having lived in Peru and trained there for so long. Jester saying Shevchenko looked off the second time in a row against Grasso and got caught. Back to the drawing board for Valentina. Back to the basics. Valentina money line is the play. There's a lot of reasons on paper to like Valentina this week. Main event is dog or pass for Curtis Clark. And Andy Ellis saying, after last week, I'm never betting on a main event again. Dude, they're hard to win, man. They're hard to win. I actually hit my over 4.5 on the main event last week, but I've gotten stuck on a couple of main event spots too, man. So it can happen. All right, you guys. So the next order of business is going to be this week's Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking Pick of the Week. We're 0-4. The memory of my dog is being sullied by 3 bad picks and then 1 pick where the judges stole it from us. So we've got to get a fat plus money number. We got to get on a winning streak here and start stacking Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking Picks of the Week like flapjacks. So how do we do it this week, right? I told you that I think the main event is going to decision. And on UFC Noche, I think that they're going to want to see Alexa Grasso. And usually it is the case where if it's a close fight, the decision goes to the reigning champion. You got to beat the champion to be the champion. Alexa Grasso, I think, is going to stuff the takedowns this time around. And I think that she's going to be able to keep this fight at distance striking range. And I think she will just slightly win the minutes there. So your Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking Pick of the Week is a fat plus money number. It's going to be Alexa Grasso and still by decision plus 350. This is a bet I'm going to be making this week. I'll probably go a half unit on it, but I believe that I'm going to see even fatter numbers on some of the other books when they open their props. So I'm going with a big plus money number. We went with plus 325 Makdessi by decision last week. Should have hit. It didn't. Let's hope that the judges are a little more friendlier to Alexa Grasso this week if this goes the full 5 than they were to Makdessi last week. This time we will have the home field advantage here for Grasso for UFC Noche, but Alexa Grasso by decision is the underdog pick of the week, and it is a fat plus money number. And that leaves us with one more order of business, ladies and gentlemen. It's Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. This is the segment where we try to pick the fighter that is going to win in the most violent fashion. They're going to win in a way that has you saying, whoa, he just shaved that dude's ass and it was clean and it was spectacular. Who's going to give us beautiful violence on Saturday? Who's going to give us a finish that winds up being played on the highlight reels over and over again? Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. We got Curtis Clark saying, let's go Bootsy. What's up, dude? We got She can have a little more inside this week. Yes, sir. Wink, wink, says Justin. Curtis Clark saying the dog love. He loves the pick. Lucas saying woof, woof, plus 350. That's a big plus money number. We're going to hit this one. Curtis Clark says Rosas. Cheeky Elbow says Kopylov. Curtis Clark says it could be Campbell. Professor Chaos says Knutsson. Kiwi Brew saying Chairez. Oh yeah, Uncle, no track bet section anymore. Yes, there will be track bet section. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that right after I give you guys the ass shaving of the week. Yeah, Kiwi Brew saying Chairez, and we got Victor de Jesus saying Campbell, and then Andy L is saying Campbell is shaving Reyes' ass shaving. The first fight, says Justin Villegas. But once again, it's my guy, Victor de Jesus, who seems to really have his thumb on the pulse of who his Uncle Weezy is going to choose for this week's Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. Yes, sir. This week's Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. How could it be anybody but the cannibal? Charlie the Cannibal Campbell to shave the ass of Alex Reyes, who was told just a few years ago that he might never walk again. Coming off of a 6-year layoff. Charlie's hands are sharp. They are powerful. He's got a good grappling game because he trains with Weidman and Longo. This kid has got flash. He's got pizzazz. He's got zazz as well. Look, this guy is really fun. I am really glad that he's in the UFC, and I think that we're going to see a lot of really satisfying, really fun fights from this cat moving forward. But this week's Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, Charlie the Cannibal Campbell to shave the ass of Alex Reyes by first round knockout. We did it, you guys. Let me give you my tracked bets for the week, which are right up here on this page. So we saw the 2.31 profit last week right there. And then this week, the tracked bets, we have 1 unit on the Josh Fremd money line at plus 285. Like I said, it's a 26% implied probability. It's a fat number. And I think that Fremd, if he chooses just not to do a distance striking battle with Kopylov, that he could dirty this up and find a couple of different paths to win minutes in this spot. I also have 1.25 units on the money line of Tracy Cortez at minus 125 to win 1. And then I've got a 3-leg juice parlay that I put together this week. It is Josefine Knutsson's money line, which I got earlier in the week at minus 440. It is the under 1.5 rounds in the Reyes Campbell fight at minus 175. And then I got the over 2.5 rounds in the Cortez Jasudavicius fight at minus 350. Those 3 legs come out to plus 148. I put a 2-unit bet down there to try to win almost 3 units. I love all of those lines. I think Knutsson rolls. I think Charlie Campbell knocks out Reyes in the very first round. And I think that Tracy Cortez and Jasmine Jasudavicius go to decision 90 times out of 100. So I don't mind laying minus 350 there. So that's my big one, my big bet to try to win 3 units. And in addition to that, I'm going to wait for the Grasso by decision props to open on all the books. I'm going to be looking to try to get better than plus 350 and hit that for a half unit. I'm also looking at Loopy Godinez to win by decision over Elise Reed at around plus 120. That could be something that makes my track bets this week as well. You guys, thank you so much. 70 of you here still hanging out on a late Tuesday night, breaking down these fights with your Uncle Weezy. Do me a favor, man. Hit that thumbs up on your way out if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe. If you're considering trying to become a better gambler and giving yourself access to more information, join the Patreon so that you can get access to these phenomenal stats, the prop template, which gives you the analytics for all the over-under bets on the card, and it'll tell you not only what the betting line is, but what the implied probability of that betting line is, what the benchmark is for that bet in that division, and what the individual fighter performances are, and what the combined fighter performances are, so that we can compare them against each other and determine whether lines are cheap or expensive. So please consider joining the Patreon. Leave me a comment down below. Check me out tomorrow 8 o'clock Central Time, Pub Sports Radio for the DFS show with my guy DFS by the Numbers, Gordo Gambles, and Monk. You can be right back here tomorrow night, 10 o'clock Central Time. We'll be doing Ask Weezy, where you can ask me any questions that you have about any of the fighters, fights, props on this card. And then the only thing left to do after that, you guys, stack cash tickets like flapjacks on UFC Noche. Good night, everybody. Have a great rest of your night, and we will see you tomorrow.